Chapter 1, Eddard I. Lord Eddard Stark rode towards the faint blur of a castle on the short, distant horizon, squinting against the dust that danced around and in front of him. Every now and then, a cloud of red dust would shower him like a coat of snow. Snow. It was still spring for how long? Yet it felt like the middle of summer here in Dawn. Layers of sweat soaked the back of his neck and trickled down his long face from his forehead as he remained trapped in his armor. Ned wished he was back in the north at home in Winterfell. His father and brother's deaths have been avenged. Lyanna, he swallowed and shook away the memory of his wild sister, wild no more. Robert's rebellion, the war of the usurper, Eddard sighed, shaking his head again. Whatever the Maesters planned to call the war, for him, he was glad it ended. It will never be over for Robert, he thought. There will always be pretenders, wandering Targaryens, his dreams of Lyanna as his wife. With a heavy heart, Ned continued riding towards Starfall. He could not bear glancing back at the remains of the Tower of Joy. 6 of his best men rode down from King's Landing to that damned tower. Only the little Cranogman Howland Reed trailed behind him on his small horse. Willam Dustin, Martin Castle, Ethan Glover, Theo Vull, Mark Ryswell. All good men cut down that day. For him. For Lyanna. For Robert. My lord called Howland. How much further? We will be there by evening, perhaps, guessed Ned, wishing to leave and never set foot in Dawn again. No doubt Dawn was a place filled to the rim with a rich and vibrant culture, but for him, the death of Lyanna was enough to shy him away. Once he delivers the great sword Dawn to Lady Ashura, sister of the Sword of the Morning, he will plant himself in Winterfell and stay there till the end of his days. He was of the north and anywhere but that was not for him. Ned doubted Lady Ashura would welcome him warmly. Why should she? He killed her valiant brother. The most he could hope for was bread and salt before she sends him and Howland on their way. Ned urged his tired horse closer to the distant castle. Both he, Howland and their steeds were exhausted. The sooner they arrive at Starfall the better. Ned dared to hope Lady Ashura would permit them rooms for the night, or at least give Howland Reed time to recover. He would gladly ride back to the north. The small Cranogman needed rest. Ned felt a wave of gratitude to Howland Reed. If it wasn't for Howland, it would be Ned's body buried with those of the 6 other Northmen in the scorching Dornish desert. Sir Arthur Dayne, the Sword of the Morning, was too a true knight to leave the Northmen's remains out as food for the crows, even if they fought on opposing sides. Here. Ned paused and threw Howland his last apple. Eat, he advised. You need your strength. As do we all. We all need enough strength to swallow the Lannister atrocities of King's Landing, the crimson-cloaked bodies of Elia Martell and her children, the child Rhaenys and the baby Gon. Ned's heart hardened. Only a monster like Gregor Clegane will be brutal enough to murder a weeping, pleading mother, a terrified girl and an infant. He hoped Robert would now have the sense to sentence Clegane and Rhaenys Targaryen's killer to death. Jon must convince Robert to behead them, Ned prayed, the sound of Howland munching the apple a mere whisper of the hot desert wind. Yes, Robert will know, he must listen to Jon. Jon Arryn is the only man Robert will heed to. King Robert Baratheon was like a brother to him. In a way, he reminded Ned of his own, rather hot-blooded brother Brandon. Both Robert and Brandon were of looming height and unafraid of taking the maidenhead of girls. Robert had a bastard, a daughter somewhere in the Vale, and most likely a dozen more scattered between the Vale and King's Landing. Brandon had left no bastards, but he had taken the maidenhead of Lord Roderick Ryswell's daughter, who happened to be wife of Willam Dustin. Ned suspected she would not welcome him warmly when he returns to Winterfell. A hero's welcome is not for me, Ned thought. For Robert, yes. If Brandon had lived, yes. Not for me. Howland rode up beside him, clinging strenuously to the reins. You will rest when we arrive at Starfall, Ned told him. You are in no state to ride back after a few hours. If Brandon was in his place, he would have made a jape. I will not want to bury another friend, he might have jested. Will Lady Ashura welcome us, my lord, said the Cranogman worriedly. Ned shrugged. She will not fear you, she bears no ounce of hatred towards you. Like any highborn lady, he was certain she would give common courtesy and give them refreshments. For me. He paused. I will consider it fortunate if I am served stale bread and water. His horse neighed with fatigue. Ned patted him and said mindlessly. We are almost there. If Lady Ashura sends you away, I will follow you, my lord, promised Howland loyally. I'd rather die on the road with my liege lord than in a Dornish keep far from the north. Ned nodded with thanks. You are a good man, Lord Reed. He looked at him levelly. We must talk, when we are home again in the north. Lord Stark. Lady Ashura Dane stood with her arms crossed in the solar as her violet eyes coldly rested upon the exhausted and grimy Ned and Howland. I did not expect to see you here. If you're here to tell me Lord Robert Baratheon is now king, you had a wasted journey. I received a raven earlier this morning from a maester in King's Landing. Ned shifted uncomfortably. The last time he saw Lady Ashura was during the festivities of the fateful tourney at Harrenhal. She had danced with him, most likely asked by Brandon, and he remembered her to be of tall stature with long, cascading dark hair and the most haunting violet eyes. As he looked at her now, she was just as if not more beautiful. Silently, Ned reached for Dawn from the scabbard on his back and carefully placed it on the oaken table between him and Howland and Ashura Dane. He waited as Ashura stared at it, speechless. Dawn gleamed as she touched its hilt. The great sword was said to be made from metal forged from the heart of a fallen star. A tear rolled down Ashura Dane's fair cheek, landing on the blade as pale as milk glass. Do you know what is so special about Dawn, my lords? She said quietly, her slim fingers gripping the hilt tightly. Dawn is not passed down from lord to lord, Ned responded softly. Am I correct, my lady? Only a worthy knight of House Dane can wield it. Ashura examined the glistening blade carefully as if it was her babe. A true knight, the sword of the morning. Where is my brother? Sir Arthur Dane, he is dead, my lady. He died bravely, valiantly, honorably, all in the name of his king. Another tear trickled down Ashura's cheek. He was the truest knight in the Seven Kingdoms and also the deadliest. If it wasn't for Lord Howland Reed over here, he would have returned to you triumphant. My lady, I regret I did not have the power to bring you your brother's body. A third tear followed the second. I did not have enough horses or strength to bring him from the Tower of Joy. More tears seeped from Ashura Dane's haunting purple eyes as Ned barged ahead and said, Sir Arthur is with his prince now. Ashura collapsed onto her chair, her hands visibly shaking as she muttered as if in a trance, the White Bull, dead. Prince Lewin Martell of Dawn, dead. Sir Oswell Went, dead. Sir Jonnet Hordiari, also dead. And now my brother, the Sword in the Morning, DD dead. She laughed wildly. Is Sir Barristan the Bold dead too? All the great knights of the Seven Kingdoms dead. Sir Barristan Selmy lives, Ned informed her uncertainly. The king plans to give him the position of Lord Commander of the Kingsguard. Sir Jaime. Kingslayer. He murdered King Aes. Very well. The Kingslayer still lives. He is not the most honorable of knights, but he is a skilled warrior. His last words carried a bitter taste. Calling Sir Jaime Lannister a skilled warrior was not something he would say on a normal day. I sincerely hope the Kingsguard will be filled with true knights once again. My brother, there was no knight as valiant as him. Ned nodded in agreement. I, my lady. Lady Ashura wiped away her tears. Who killed him? Ned bowed his head. I did, my lady. I am not proud of it. He felt her accusing eyes bore into him. Before he could speak, he felt a sharp, stinging slap on his right cheek. My lord, the Cranogman shouted in alarm. Ned's mouth twisted into a sad smile. In Lady Ashura's eyes, he deserved it. It was not particularly honorable, but at least she did not consider murdering him out of vengeance with Dawn. If you were any other man, I would run you through with a sword. Ashura Dane snapped, her eyes burning with fury. Not with Dawn, of course, but there are other, equally sharp blades that are capable of killing men. Begone with you, my lords. I do not want to see you in Starfall ever again. You brought me back my house's ancestral sword, for that, I thank you. If my men catch you near Starfall again, you will wish you never set foot in Dawn. You, Lord Reed, I bear no ill will against you. As for you, Lord Stark, she narrowed her eyes dangerously and said softly, if you were not Lord Brandon's brother, you would not fare as well. She stood up. Please leave. My lady, said Howland hastily, almost tripping over his own tired feet. I beg you a minute of your time. It is quite a long way home and we are running short on supplies. Perhaps a sack of apples. A few loaves of bread. Skins of water. If it wouldn't trouble you, mayhaps some directions. Ashura frowned. Directions. Do you not have a map, Lord Reed? Dawn is as foreign to us as the north is to you, my lady. I've oft heard of the Danes' excellent hospitality. I understand your losses, my lady, and I mourn the death of the great sword of the morning as much as you. A bed for the night and bread and salt for supper are all we require, my lady. Lady Ashura blinked. Our excellent hospitality. The little Cranogman offered her the most charming smile he could muster with his failing strength. Aye, my lady. With a sigh, Ashura gestured for him and Ned to follow her. I will have a maid bring you food, she said, striding down the stairs. Will bread, a cold soup and a flagon of Dornish wine do? I will have your rooms prepared, my lords. The cook will restock your supplies and I will find someone willing to take you across to the Reach. I'm certain you will be able to make your way home after that, don't you think, my lords? We are most grateful, my lady, said Ned, relieved. He gave Howland another grateful nod. Without the clever Cranogman, he would be on the road supplyless, famished and drained. The blazing sun would kill him first if not angry and vengeful Dornishmen. Lady Ashura's steps echoed in the castle's maze of corridors as she led Ned and Howland to Starfall's great hall. Hung on the stone wall behind the Lord of Starfall's seat were 3 banners, the red sun and golden spear on an orange field of House Martell surrounded by 2 banners emblazoned with the white sword and falling star crossed on a purple field of the Danes of Starfall. To Ned's astonishment, Lady Ashura Dane crossed the great hall and opened another, a side door, leading to a smaller room. In the middle of it was a large, round table constructed from oak. Around it were a number of chairs all equal in height. Displayed on the walls were portraits of men in armor, their hands all grasping dawn. Swords of the morning. Yes, said Lady Ashura, watching him beadily. Ancestors, uncles, cousins, it would not be long before a portrait of my brother joins them. That is Sir Davos Dane, she pointed at the portrait closest to the door, and that is Sir Ulrich Dane. I trust you've heard of them. Every sword of the morning was famous throughout the 7 kingdoms. Sir Arthur would be the most famed of them all, Ned remarked. All the children will hear his song. Ashura smiled dryly. The song of the sword in the morning. There will be little boys running in courtyards waving their wooden swords, pretending they are the valiant Sir Arthur Dane with the great sword drawn. Ned smiled a little. Why are we here, my lady? Do you prefer to sup with Lord Reed alone in the great hall? I thought you and Lord Reed would like privacy whilst you are here. That is kind of you, my lady. Apparently we Danes offer excellent hospitality. Your supper shall arrive shortly. She bade them to sit and gracefully stalked out. She is a lovely woman, my lord, commented Howland, sighing with relief as he sunk onto a purple-cushioned chair. Ah. Enjoy it while you can, said Ned, pulling out the waxed letter brought to him by a dying messenger, now buried somewhere dawn. He examined it and saw the seal of a crowned stag. Robert. It must be extremely important, or he would not have sent a messenger to chase after him in dawn. Ned broke the seal and his eyebrows rose. It was by Jon Arryn's hand. After years as a ward in the Eyrie with Robert Baratheon, Ned had recognized their foster father Jon Arryn's handwriting up to the point he knew it more well than his own father Rickard Stark's writing. Is that the letter from the dead messenger? Asked Howland, his eyes falling upon a plate of fried fish. Do you think the Dornish leave their meat out in the sun to cook? He wondered. It is written by Lord Arryn. Ned's frown deepened as he read the contents of the letter. He nodded as a maid placed a fresh loaf of bread and a plate of cold meat in front of him. She then poured them a cup of Dornish wine each before bobbing a little nod and leaving the room. Ned stabbed the meat with his clean dagger and brought it to his mouth. He carefully read the letter again, chewing thoughtfully. The slice of meat was not as spicy as he expected. The king is set to wed Lady Catelyn Tully, Ned informed his Cranogman friend. Lord Arryn had written they will marry once we return, to King's Landing. His stomach turned as he recalled the Red Keep's great hall. I thought you planned to return to Winterfell, my lord. My plans have apparently changed. He deliberated if Lady Catelyn would openly disapprove of Robert's whoring ways. Lyanna certainly did. I heard rumors Lyanna had said after she was introduced to Robert before the tourney at Harrenhal. Is it true Robert Baratheon fathered a bastard in the Vale? A little bastard girl. What could Ned do but affirm the truth? I will not stand for his whoring and drinking, Lyanna had then declared, flicking her dark hair defiantly. I will not wed an unfaithful man. Lord Tully must be delighted. Howland ripped the loaf in half and devoured his portion like a hungry wolf to his prey. It is not every day a Tully maiden would be queen. Lady Catelyn was to wed my brother if he lived. Or I if Lyanna had not died in the Tower of Joy. The wily Lord Hoster Tully had been quite insistent. If Lady Lyanna Stark was rescued and unsullied, his eldest daughter Catelyn will marry Ned. If the Lady Lyanna Stark was raped or dead, Catelyn was to be King Robert Baratheon's queen. The king must value you highly to postpone his own wedding, my lord. Not many kings will do that. Not many kings are like Robert. A grin appeared on Ned's face. Are you still hungry? Have my bread. I lost my appetite. He pushed his share of the bread towards Howland. You should have turned back before we reached the Tower of Joy. If you did, you would be on your way home. Lord Howland smiled. You are my liege lord. Besides, I owed your sister a debt. She protected me against those squires and I will protect and aid you the best I can. I will not go home until your business is concluded and this war finally done. You and I both know that this war will not be over until peace is restored throughout the Seven Kingdoms. There is Dorne to appease, Targaryen loyalists to hunt down, the king will need you at his side, my lord. Ned sighed and nodded. The king needs Lord Arryn too. What of his brothers? Renly is still a child. Robert will need Stannis. Robert and Stannis had never gotten along particularly well before. Mayhaps they will be more brotherly now that Robert is king. Wordless, Ned handed Howland the letter. Howland glanced at it and said flatly, I cannot read your letter, my lord. Howland, I consider you one of my most trusted lords, and I require an opinion on this matter. Apprehensively, Howland glanced at the letter. After staring at it for a good minute or two, he drained his goblet of wine. What can I say, he sighed, giving the letter back to Ned. In Lord Arryn's writing it may be, but it is still the king's orders. There is nothing you can do, my lord, but obey. For the first time in months, Ned slept on a cozy bed without the worry of an unexpected attack. Nevertheless, he did not sleep like a babe. Every night he was persistently plagued by nightmares of the Tower of Joy, of Lyanna. Last night was no exception. Splashing his face with clear water from the silver basin, Ned shook himself awake and headed to the great hall for a spot of breakfast. He smiled as he caught no sign of the little Cranogman. It was admirable of him to accompany him to Starfall when he had the chance to turn back and return home. I will never forget his determination or loyalty. He entered Starfall's great hall and nodded as he noticed Ashura and a petite child nibbling flat bread at the long tables. Two servants slipped in and out silently like mice. My lady, Ned said politely. I hope you slept well. Yesterday Ashura had worn flowing silks of lilac cinched at her waist with a belt of amethysts and pearls. Today she was covered from head to toe in black like a grieving widow. The belt of purple and white was promptly replaced with one of onyxes and around her slender neck was a star pendant wrought from pearls. The last gift from my brother, said Ashura, noticing his grey eyes upon it. It was our mother's. Arthur was to bestow it upon his future bride, but as he chose to be a knight of the Kingsguard, he granted it to me as a gift for my last name day. I hope you slept better than I, my lord. I spent half the night reading all the letters Arthur had written me. I too did not sleep well, admitted Ned, taking a seat opposite her after his host nodded for him to sit. He gazed at the dark-haired child curiously. Is she your niece, my lady? He could not help but ask. There were 2 Dane brothers. The sword in the morning and... No, she is my sister, my lord, she replied, Illyria Dane. She is yet to be told of her brother's death. Her voice wavered. Illyria only knows her brother as a valiant knight, saving maidens and slaying dragons. Perhaps it will be good for her to remember him that way. She chuckled rather shakily and gently prodded her sister towards the door. Little Illyria Dane beamed at him before skipping out, singing to an unfamiliar tune. My lady. Ned passed his letter to Ashura. It seems my journey here is not solely to return Dawn. He cringed as she shot him a furious glare as she read through the letter. For the sake of peace between houses Dane of Starfall, Stark of Winterfell and Baratheon of King's Landing, Ned went on quickly, the king has commanded me to take you as wife. You look beautiful, Cat. Lysa Tully sighed with envy as she watched Catelyn stand in front of the large looking glass in a gown of blue silk with long flowing sleeves. Every inch of it was covered with an embroidered design of silver trouts and mud-red swirls. She donned a silver trout necklace fashioned from silver and allowed a maid to brush her wavy tresses of auburn hair. You do too. Catelyn smiled at her younger sister, who looked equally pretty in a dark blue gown that complemented her rather pale complexion. Lysa was not usually so pallid, but over the last few weeks, she had been confined to her chambers. Their father had told her Lysa was ill. Lysa made a face. You are taller than me, she pointed out. The king is of looming height, so handsome too. Oh Cat. You are the more fortunate of us two. You forgot Edmure. Lysa shrugged. Edmure is our brother, he will always be more lucky than either of us girls. When will you and the king wed? Catelyn thought for a moment. When Lord Stark returns from Dorne. I doubt the king will marry me without his childhood friend present. Lord Stark. Last year she was to wed Lord Brandon Stark and become the future Lady of Winterfell. A few months ago, she was set to wed Brandon's brother, the solemn Lord Eddard Stark. In a few weeks, she is to wed King Robert Baratheon and become queen and mother of his heirs. Who could have foreseen the Lady Lyanna Stark's death? The prospect of queenship thrilled and frightened Cat. Lady of Winterfell was one matter, Queen of the Seven Kingdoms. Do you love him? Said Lysa eagerly. What? Catelyn was taken back. She hardly knew Robert Baratheon. In Riverrun she had heard of his tremendous feats and ability to transform foes into friends of venerable skill. I suppose I will love him when we are married, said Catelyn uncertainly. It will be my duty to love my lord husband. Do you think father will betroth me to a man as noble, valiant and handsome as yours? Lysa sighed dreamily. Perhaps. If father desires an alliance with House Tyrell, I suppose you will be wed to a handsome Tyrell lord. I think father is still keen on the alliance with the Starks, at least you've seen Lord Stark before. She smiled at the prospect of her little sister as Lady of Winterfell. Lord Stark would be a fool if he refuses to wed a sweet girl such as Lysa. He is a fine-looking man. Lysa wrinkled her nose. Eddard Stark is so serious. He hardly laughed like Brandon Stark did. Catelyn had forgotten Lysa was with her when they were presented to the Starks at Harrenhal. She wished Rhaegar Targaryen had never abducted Lyanna Stark, elsewise she would be happily married to Brandon and a mother in Winterfell. Will you truly be happy as Brandon's wife? Have you neglected the thought of his way with women? Cat, Lysa. Their father rapped on the door. The king is ready for you. Taking a deep breath, Catelyn left her rooms with Lysa gripping her arm with excitement. Some would think it is Lysa as the king's betrothed, not me, Catelyn thought. Father nodded at her with approval. Very lovely, Cat. The king will no doubt be charmed by the end of the feast. Lysa, I expect you to be the beautiful, well-behaved lady I know you are. No giggling or swooning. Do you understand, Lysa? I wish to show the court both my daughters are women grown. There will be powerful lords at the celebrations today and I wish for both of you to impress upon them greatly. Cat, you are to be their queen. Prove to them a daughter of the Riverlands is fit to be our king's consort. Lysa, I am to broker a marriage for you. Show the lords you are worthy enough to wed their sons. Yes, father, both Tully girls said in unison. Lord Hoster Tully smiled. Good. You both look beautiful. Your Uncle Brynden, he scowled, and Edmure are both waiting for you with the rest of the court. Uncle Brynden will be a knight of the King's Guard, said Lysa, her blue eyes shining with joy. He will be one of the finest knights in all the realm. He will be able to protect Cat if the evil Targaryens come back. Catelyn nodded. His first duty is to protect our king, she corrected. Uncle Brynden was a brilliant warrior, his appointment to the King's Guard was such a kind suggestion of the king's. I cannot imagine Uncle Brynden in white, remarked Lysa. He always wears black. Father, are you pleased Uncle Brynden will be of the King's Guard? Catelyn watched as their father pursed his lips. A Tully is always happy for the victories of another Tully, he said finally. I am quite delighted Brindon is honoured with the prestigious offer of a place in the Kingsguard. However, once he swears his vows he will no longer marry or sire children. There will never be another branch of our family from him. A pity. If he had not been so stubborn, he would have already had Bethany Redwine as wife. By now he probably would have had a few sons and daughters. He sniffed. You would have had a couple of Tully cousins and Riverrun would be filled with more laughter. It will soon enough, said Caitlin confidently. Edmure will have no trouble sowing a number of sons and daughters who will require your attention once they can toddle and speak. Father chuckled. He agreed. All the girls beautiful like you and Lysa, and all the boys robust and full of virility. We are here. He stopped in front of a pair of double doors constructed from the finest oak banded with bronze. The doors swung open. Hoster Tully, Lord of Riverrun and Lord Paramount of the Trident, and his daughters, the Lady Caitlin and the Lady Lysa of House Tully. Smiling, Caitlin followed her father into the great hall. Sitting on the throne molded from spikes, jagged edges and twisted metal on top of a high platform, was her betrothed, King Robert Baratheon, the first of his name. Lysa had not lied, Robert was indeed a handsome man. Very handsome. Lord Tully, said the king in a booming voice fit for a warrior. He stood up and strode towards them, a broad grin on his face. He was tall in stature, broad-shouldered and muscled, the perfect knight in a maiden's fantasy. He vigorously shook Caitlin's father's hand before turning to her and Lysa. These must be your beautiful daughters, he declared, looking at them with interest. Lady Caitlin, you grow more lovely every day, he complimented, kissing Kat's hand. Caitlin felt no taller than the dwarf Tyrion Lannister as she stood in front of the looming king. You must be Lady Caitlin's sister, said the king, smiling warmly at Lysa. I say. You are as pretty as Rose. He glanced over his shoulder and shouted, Lord Tyrell. Do you not think Lady Lysa is a true rose? A fat lord in green stepped forward and blustered, Oh yes, your grace. The Lady Lysa is as lovely as the roses in Highgarden. He bowed clumsily. Lysa blushed as red as Lord Tywin Lannister's crimson cloak. Where is your uncle Blackfish, said the king, looking around. I look forward to sleeping safely with the Blackfish guarding my door. I must say, it will be odd to see him garbed in white rather than black. He snorted with laughter. What say you, my Lady Caitlin? Can you imagine your uncle Blackfish wearing a white cloak and carrying a white shield? White does not suit Uncle Brindon, thought Caitlin. He is a man in black and will die a knight in black. She shook her head. Uncle Brindon will look queer in white, your grace, she said truthfully. It will be an unusual sight, the Blackfish of House Tully attired in white. I wonder if we will begin calling him Whitefish instead. She smiled as her betrothed and the other lords laughed. Perhaps the Blackfish can keep his black armor, suggested a rather foolish lord. The king slowly turned and glared at him. Your grace, said Caitlin quickly. Pray tell me, when will we wed? Once Ned returns, answered the king, kissing her hand again. We will not wed until my childhood friend is back. Please excuse me, my lady. He nodded at her and went to speak to a waiting lord. Ladies swarmed around Caitlin like a flock of eager birds. Our congratulations on your betrothal to his grace. The tall and dignified Lady Aeleri Hightower was the first to bless her. She gracefully swept her long braid of silver hair adorned with glittering emeralds to one side as she smiled at Caitlin. Forgive my husband for his earlier words, my lady, she said, sliding her green eyes to the Tyrell lord who had blustered his words. He was meant to say the Lady Lysa was more beautiful than any rose in Highgarden. Lady Aeleri, Caitlin acknowledged. All is forgiven, though your husband had not meant any offense. My sister Lysa is still delighted to be compared to the exquisiteness of a rose. Lady Caitlin. The wizened and old Lady Tanda Stokeworth pushed her way to Caitlin's side. My lady, there will be room in your household for my two dear daughters Felice and Lollies. Oh, say you will take them as your ladies. Someone sniggered rudely. Caitlin chose to ignore it. I will consider it, Lady Stokeworth, she answered solemnly. I cannot promise them places in my service as of yet, but I will inform you soon enough when the time comes. My lady, a word if you please. Caitlin hid a look of surprise as Lord Arryn appeared at her side. She smiled at the other ladies and took Lord Arryn's arm as he led her around the great hall. You look regal, my lady, he said kindly. You will be a wonderful queen. Thank you, my lord, said Caitlin cautiously. You look well. Lord John Arryn barked with laughter. As well as an old man can look, my lady. Now, you must know his grace had always been hot-blooded with a lust for wine and women. That will not do for a good king, eh? You seem to be a calm woman with a caring nature. Tame his drinking. If peace is to be maintained, we need his grace to have a clear and sound mind. I understand, my lord. Will the king even listen to me? What if he thinks me naught more than a broodmare? Good. There is another matter regarding your uncle. Oh. She gave the Lord of the Eyrie a confused look. My lord, I thought the king wishes to give him a place in the king's guard. He does, my lady, but the Blackfish does not desire to be a white cloak. His brow furrowed. The Blackfish entertains the idea of an unmarried life, but he seems to enjoy the notion of arguing with his brother more. My uncle Brynden does not enjoy arguing with my father, my lord. He does not seem amused at the prospect of being called Whitefish. Caitlin laughed. It will not suit him, my lord. As the future queen, I propose the matter to you. Ask the king for your uncle to be your sworn shield. He will be able to protect you if harm comes your way, and he can still wear his black. My lord, it is up to my uncle if he wishes to be part of the king's guard or not. I will not use my place as the king's betrothed to request anything yet. What will the lords and ladies say of a Tully in the king's guard and a Tully for queen? The Tullys are rising at court, they will say. Soon the king's court will be flooded with the Trouts and their followers. You are very astute, my lady. Lord Arryn dipped his head. Lord Tully must be proud to have a daughter such as you. Underscore 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 underscore. Caitlin woke to the sound of hysterical sobbing. Stifling a yawn, she slipped on a pair of doeskin slippers and wrapped a woolly blue cloak around herself before creeping into Lysa's quarters. As the king's betrothed, Cat had been given spacious chambers in Maegor's Holdfast, as were her father and Lysa. Cat found her sister crying on her bed. Like she did when their mother died, Cat gave her weeping sister a long hug. What is the matter, Lysa? I am to wed, Lysa choked out, her blue eyes streaming with tears. Father told me after the feast yesterday. What's with the tears then? You always wanted to be a mother. Lysa wailed. I am to wed Lord Arryn. Cat's mouth dropped open. Lord John Arryn. Father is cruel. He plans to wed me to an old man. You saw him the other day, Cat. You even talked to him. I am doomed for a loveless marriage. John Arryn will never love me. He only wants me as wife for sons. A fresh river of tears flowed down Lysa's fair cheeks. He will love you, soothed Cat, squeezing her hand assuredly. You are sister to the future queen. Only a fool will mistreat the future queen's sister. Besides, you are beautiful. You heard Lord Tyrell, you are as pretty as a blooming rose of Highgarden. Lord Arryn will be struck by your beauty and will love you. Do you remember House Arryn's words? A sniffle. As high as honor. Lord Arryn is too honorable to sire bastards, at least, dear sister. At least he will remain faithful to you. Unlike the king. During the feast yesterday, Caitlin had heard rumors of King Robert's notorious hunger for women. Lord Horton Redfort, a short, old man with a well-kept beard and mild eyes, was not troubled in telling her about the king's bastard of 4 years residing in the Vale. A couple of knights and lords claimed the king had littered a number of bastards before, during and after every battle in his rebellion. Lysa's eyes widened. Oh. Cat. You are to be the queen. Help me, Cat. You can order father to break my betrothal to Lord Arryn. She looked hopeful. Caitlin shook her head regretfully. I'm sorry, Lysa. Father will be furious. He had arranged for you to wed a man he thinks fit for a daughter of the Riverlands. I cannot command him to break it because you wish me to. Family, duty, honor. Never forget our house words, Lysa. What we do, who we wed, what we say, all our actions will either prosper or disgrace House Tully. Do you want father to die a heartbroken old man or a proud father of 3? For the sake of our family, we must do our duty, which in our case means good marriages. The Arryns are one of the oldest houses in the 7 kingdoms, and you will be the lady of the Eyrie, your descendants the powerful lords of the Eyrie, defenders of the Vale and wardens of the East. She smiled mysteriously. Can you keep a secret? Even though it wouldn't be a secret much longer. What is it? The king will ask Lord Arryn to be his hand, Cat whispered. I heard father speak of it with the king during the feast. If you are his wife, you will be obliged to stay at court. You will be near me. Lysa hiccuped and giggled. I suppose wedding Lord Arryn would not be too bad, she said uncertainly. He is quite old. Perhaps he will die before we wed in a few weeks' time. Lord Arryn must be desperate for an heir. What else could explain the quick betrothal? Edmure is so lucky he can stay at home, said Lysa longingly. His impending bride will journey to him. From her excellent view at the high table during the feast, Catelyn had observed their father speak quietly with Lady Aelaire's father, Lord Lytton Hightower of Old Town, for a good hour at least. She suspected they were haggling over an alliance of sorts. The war was more than over. Tullys and Hightowers had fought as enemies, now was the time for peace. It is almost dawn, said Catelyn, glimpsing a slimmer of sunlight slithering from under the curtains. Have you cried all night? Lysa shook her head to her relief. I had a bad dream. I dreamt Lord Arryn had beaten me for not bearing him a son. Impossible. He is too honorable to beat you. You will have a brood of bonny sons and daughters. Father used to say those of the Riverlands are as fertile as the lands. Look at Lord Frey, he sired 5 children with his 6th wife and at least a dozen by his previous wives. What will happen if I do not give Lord Arryn any children? Catelyn thought for a moment. He will be succeeded by a nephew or cousin, I expect. Do not fear, dear Lysa. I know you will have a son. The 2 Tully sisters smiled at each other for a minute. I can see Petter again, said Lysa suddenly. Cat felt a sense of dread rolling in her stomach. Father sent him back to the Fingers, Lysa continued, her eyes lit with excitement. As Lady of the Eyrie, I can help him. Oh, remember when we used to feed him mud pies, Cat? He was so helpful to me when we were children. I never grasped sums as a child and he would oft help me. She beamed. Once I wed Lord Arryn, I will be able to help him back. Is that wise? Said Catelyn tentatively. Lysa, why must you bring even the tiniest mention of Petter back in our lives? When father sent him away, I hoped never to hear of him again. Lysa gaped at her. Cat. Father was wrong when he sent him away. Petter is our friend and it is our duty to help him like he helped us in the past. She giggled again. Well, he helped me more than you in our lessons. You were always clever at everything. She sighed with admiration. Petter still cares for you, she said casually, are you aware of it? You fool Petter, no, said Catelyn stiffly. He did not write to you. He did once, after Brandon Stark's death. Catelyn shook her head, instantly consumed by guilt. I still have a stack of unread letters back in Riverrun, she lied. Perhaps Petter's letter is there. Get some sleep, Lysa. I will see you in the morning for breakfast. She gave her sister another hug and crept back to her chambers. Petter, she thought, the image of a short, slender boy with remarkable grey-green eyes and dark hair appeared in her mind. I should have known you wouldn't disappear from my life so easily. I hope I will never see you again. As she climbed back onto her bed, she had a nasty feeling the shrewd Petter Baelish of the Fingers would worm his way back. Underscore 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 underscore. Morning greeted Catelyn with unusual silence. Catelyn did not like it. It was too austere. Mornings in Riverrun always began with the songs twittered by the birds that nested in the godswood. Catelyn sighed glumly. There will be many more songless mornings to come. After she dressed, settling for a lovely gown made from blue silk cuffed with Mirish lace, she broke her fast with her father, Edmure and Lysa, on small, round oat cakes dripping generously with splatters of golden honey, a fresh loaf of bread and 2 boiled eggs, each, all washed down with cups of Arbor Gold, the finest wine of Westeros. If it was any ordinary day in Riverrun, Catelyn would have headed to the September and prayed. However, father informed her and Lysa that they are all expected in the Great Hall again. The king's brother Lord Stannis had sent a messenger with urgent news. "My lady Catelyn," the king said jovially as the Tullys entered the Great Hall. "I see you are even more beautiful than you were yesterday. Lord Tully. Lady Lysa. Good to see you both." He bade for Catelyn to sit on the golden cushioned chair beside him. The lords and ladies present stepped away. Catelyn felt their gazes upon her as she walked to the king as gracefully as she could. Robert kissed her hand as she sat down. "You are well, my lord?" Catelyn inquired. "Never better," he boasted, grinning from ear to ear. "He is even more happier than yesterday." Before Catelyn could dwell more on it, he nodded at a windswept man hovering near the doors. "He must be Lord Stannis's messenger." "Your Grace." The messenger bowed. "I bring forth news." "Yes, yes." The king waved his hand dismissively. "You bring forth a message from my brother Stannis. What is it?" Slightly taken back, the messenger paused and said almost breathlessly, "Lord Stannis has captured Dragonstone. The Targaryen fleet was destroyed at night and Lord Stannis has installed a garrison of his strongest men there in the name of your grace. Lord Stannis is sailing back here as we speak and with him are 2 prisoners, a boy and an infant girl." The queen huddled closer to the crackling fire as shards of rain poured down from the dark skies. The wind howled as another volley of rain droplets collided against the windows of Windwyam. "No more," prayed Queen R'hllor, covering her ears with her shaking hands. "No more." For 9 months, R'hllor had hidden in Dragonstone with her 7-year-old son Viserys, and a number of soldiers still loyal to the Targaryen cause, including the Red Keep's once Master of Arms Sir Willem d'Aory. When R'hllor learned of her eldest son Rhaegar's death at the Trident, it had been the old Sir Willem who gently broke the news to Viserys in his gruff, kind voice. Rhaegar had loved the old knight. Sir Willem had taught Rhaegar everything he knew about swordplay. Within the first month of refuge in the island fortress, R'hllor had discovered Dragonstone was no place for a child. "Perhaps if my grandchildren Rhaenys and Aegon are here too, Viserys would not be so bored." It was not the first time the queen wished her little grandchildren in Dragonstone. At least for some time, Sir Willem entertained Viserys with stories of valiant knights and dragons. R'hllor winced as her fingers brushed against a healing scar. She placed her hand over her belly and smiled as the babe in her womb kicked. "If it is a son, he will be named Rhaegar after his noble brother who died a hero against the rebel Robert Baratheon. If it happened to be a girl, my queen." R'hllor smiled thinly as Sir Willem d'Aory hovered near the door. He did not smile back. She studied him for a moment. He looked quite strained of late. "Is something amiss, sir?" she asked anxiously. "I," said the old knight grimly. His expression blank, he said steadily, "His Grace your husband, is dead." R'hllor stared at him, her thoughts dancing with happiness and shock. Her cruel husband, dead. "How did he die?" she said calmly. "He was killed, slew by Sir Jaime Lannister." "Sir Jaime Lannister? But he is a knight of the Kingsguard." Sir Willem nodded, contorting his expression to one of disgust. "My queen, he disgraced the name of the Kingsguard. He does not even deserve to be a knight." "No matter. He will be punished in time, no doubt about that, your grace." As if on impulse, he knelt. "Your grace, with the king's death, you must be the regent for your son, King Viserys Targaryen, the third of his name. As your loyal knight, I suggest you deliver the news to the young king himself. He will surely need his lady mother at a time like this." "Regent?" R'hllor looked pointedly at her growing stomach. "Sir Willem, I doubt I can command the army in my condition." Sir Willem could not resist a chuckle. "Your grace, the men know what to do. When the rebels attack, we defeat them. Shall I tell the king you wish to have supper with him today?" R'hllor nodded. "I will be with him shortly." She stared at her reflection in the mirror as Sir Willem left. She had never thought herself beautiful if she was. Woodais had taken mistresses. With her strands of silvery blonde hair and violet eyes. The late Lady Joanna Lannister was pretty. She sighed sadly and wondered if she would have been happier if she had not dismissed Lady Lannister from her entourage of ladies many years ago. Lady Lannister had been nothing but kind and an obedient lady-in-waiting, but Rollo had noticed the lustful gazes Aerys had given her. It was for Lady Lannister's own good, Rollo told herself as she slowly descended the winding stairs to the great hall. Aerys had always been quick to anger as to love, he had tortured one of his once beloved mistresses to death before. She wrapped her red fox fur mantle tightly around her shoulders as the wind sliced through her. At least it is cold. I rather icy cold wind than fire burns. The flickering candles could not even bring light as the shadows lengthened in the corners infested with cobwebs. More candles glowed in the great hall as soldiers supped over flagons of ale and dry bread as they murmured amongst themselves. Rollo smiled as she saw her son sit at the virtually empty high table beside Sir Willem Dare staring at a bowl. Viserys, she said warmly, embracing him once she climbed the dais. If Aerys was not dead, he would burn me until I am nothing but ashes. She pushed a stray lock of silver blonde hair behind Viserys' ear. Are you well? Her son nodded. It was not natural for him to have a long, gaunt face at such a young age. Rollo cupped his chin with her thin hands. Your father is dead, she said softly. Do you know what that means? Viserys nodded again. I am Viserys Targaryen III of my name, he said solemnly, King of the Andals, the Rhoynar and the First Men, Lord of the Seven Kingdoms and Protector of the Realm. Very good, my son. Why is baby Aegon not king? Rollo stared at him uneasily. Aegon and Rhaenys are still in King's Landing with Princess Elia of Dorne. Aegon is too young to be king, and we are at war, no one will support an infant king. I am still a child. Rollo kissed his pale cheek. You are older than Aegon, are you not? She took his hand and pressed it against her belly. Do you want a baby sister or baby brother? She chuckled as Viserys frowned gravely. A brother, he decided, smiling at the growing bump. He will be my heir. If father is dead, are Aegon and Rhaenys prisoners? Rollo looked at Sir Willem with alarm. The thought of her little grandchildren as the usurper's hostages had not occurred to her. Hesitation flashed in Sir Willem's eyes. They. He said finally. They are both safe. The eunuch Varys has smuggled them away before King Aerys was killed. If the gods are with us, they will sail to Braavos and be under the care of loyal men until we join them. Join them, repeated Viserys, his purple eyes swiveling to him. Sir Willem, the Iron Throne is mine by right, that is what father always said to me. Dread cut through Rollo like a knife. What had Aerys been telling him? Underscore 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 underscore. The thunder rolled and bellowed like an angry bull. For 2 nights, the storm raged and the sea seethed, there had been no improvement. The Targaryen fleet anchored to Dragonstone tossed and turned like the wooden ships the red wines had gifted Viserys when he was born. It was a pity Viserys never had a chance to play with them, Aerys had them burnt with the rest of his presents. Rollo winced as the babe kicked for the 3rd time this morning. He is a strong one, she thought, patting her stomach gently. So much like Rhaegar. It is only fitting if I name this little one Rhaegar too. She dreaded the nights Aerys visited her chambers. In the mornings after, she would be covered with burns, bite marks and new blossoming bruises. A month or 2 later, Rollo would discover a dragon seed growing inside her womb. She had endured a number of pregnancies that resulted in children, first Rhaegar, followed by Shaena, Daeron, Aegon, Jaehaerys, and finally Viserys. Shaena was stillborn whilst both Daeron and Jaehaerys died in the same year of their births. Her Aegon fared no better. Not only did he die within a year, but he was 2 months premature. It won't be long before I hold you in my arms, Rollo told the babe in her stomach. You will be a son, would you not? Only sons kick so strongly. Only Rhaegar had kicked as vigorously during her pregnancies. She missed cradling a babe in her arms. When Viserys was born, Aerys had forbade her to touch him, let alone carry him. Any other mother would have wept and begged. Rollo knew too well of Aerys' cruel and unpredictable temper to either weep or beg. Rollo could not wait until the Maester places the babe in her arms. There will be no Aerys to inform, no arguments and tears over names, best of all, she will be able to hold the babe as long as she likes. She brightened at that thought and settled comfortably on her soft bed for the last day or two of confinement. Viserys visited thrice a day. He insisted it would be his right to hold his baby brother first, and Sir Willem Dare kept her well informed of the precarious situation her family was in. "Have you heard from Elia?" Rolla questioned as Sir Willem appeared. "Are her children well?" "They are still travelling to Braavos, your grace," Sir Willem responded. "It is not safe for them to send letters at a time like this." His eyes shifted to the tall windows dashed with pelting rain. "Dragonstone will not be safe for long, your grace," he said honestly. "The usurper will be turning his attention here once he is crowned. Perhaps he already sent a fleet to attack." Rolla struggled to sit up. "I cannot flee. It is almost time. My queen, we must leave." "Sir Willem. There is a storm raging outside the windows as we speak. That is what will protect us. If we try and flee, we will die. We cannot leave. Look at the sea, Sir Willem. We will drown if we try and sail away. Equally, the usurper and his men cannot sail to Dragonstone in risk of perilous deaths. The Red Wines own the most powerful fleet in the Seven Kingdoms, yes. They will not risk their men to come here in the name of the usurper." Exhausted, she rested her head back against the pillow, more threadbare than before. "We will leave once the storm is over," she murmured more to herself than to Sir Willem. "Either way, Viserys and this little one must be safe." She could see that Sir Willem was skeptical. "My child will not survive whether we flee or not," she thought unhappily. "If not by the usurper's sword, then he will drown at sea. The gods have abandoned us." "Shall I summon the Maester, your grace?" he inquired. Rolla shook her head. "Not yet. When I need him, I will call for him. I think I might rest now." Yesterday she felt ready to fulfill the role as regent. Today, she could hardly lift a finger. "Please, warrior, give my child strength. If not in arms, then in health. Please, mother, have mercy upon us. Let this child live. Let him have a good life, a happy life. Innocence is the most precious gift a child can have. Let my child believe in peace and not be told of this bloodshed." For a second, she wondered if the child would be a girl. "If it is a girl, she will be a Septa," Rolla decided on sudden impulse. It had been quite some time since a Targaryen chose to embrace the path of the faith rather than matrimony. "If a girl, she will be a Septa," she said aloud. "Mother, have mercy upon us all. Underscore 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 underscore. Tears streamed down Rolla's face as her handmaids clothed her in a gown of white laced with at least a dozen pearls. Around her slender neck was a pendant bearing the Targaryen sigil, a three-headed dragon wrought from rubies as red as blood. "This had belonged to your mother," her father Jaehaerys had said to her. "All Targaryen queens had worn this when they wedded their Targaryen brothers or cousins. Only a Targaryen queen can wear this, like how your future daughter will when she weds your son." His sickly face had flashed with a smile. Rolla had been too upset to even feign a smile. "I do not love him," Rolla tried to explain. "I do not want to be his wife. Rolla, it is for the good of our family. There was this: no, you are still young. All you must do is be happy, wed Aerys and continue the Targaryen lineage. One day when you are a mother and wiser, you will understand the reason for your marriage to Aerys. You are brother and sister, loving him and bearing his children should be easy." He kissed her on the forehead. "Wipe those tears away," he advised, handing her a piece of clean linen cloth. "A bride should not look so unhappy on her wedding day, my dear." The wedding ceremony flew by in a blur. Her father walked her to the altar. She and Aerys said their vows between the two towering gilded statues of the father and the mother in the great September of Baelor. They received their wedding gifts. They feasted and danced, until the bedding. Time for the bedding. The bedding. Rolla found herself lifted from her seat and carried towards Aerys' chambers, her clothes shredded off by the guest lords. Her gown, a shoe fell, the other shoe. By the time she reached the bed, she was stark naked. When Aerys appeared, he too had been stripped of all his clothes. He had drank a great deal of wine during the feast, yet he maintained a disgruntled expression. "Get on the bed," he said flatly. Shivering with fear, Rolla obeyed, praying for Aerys to be gentle. He had never been the brother she wanted. Kind, loving, protective, Aerys Targaryen was none. She closed her eyes as she felt him shift on top. Gentle he was not. She whimpered and cried as blood trickled between her legs. Underscore 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 underscore. Another boom of thunder jolted Rollo awake, her forehead clammy with sweat. Trickling between my legs, she lifted the blanket. Her mattress was damp, her water had broke. Maester, she called out as loudly as she could. Compared to the rumbling thunder, it was no more than a whisper. Fortunately, the Maester had heard her call. Your Grace, he said, hurrying in. My water broke. For the last time. Ah. Stay calm, Your Grace. I will gather towels. He left as quickly as he went in. Rollo wondered if he had ever delivered a baby before. Aware she would face tighter contractions very soon, she summoned Sir Willem and Viserys. The old knight remained as calm as ever, her son frightened. His violet eyes darted here and there as they approached her. My son, breathed Rollo, caressing his soft hand. My king, you will be a good boy, now will you? Will you be a good brother to the baby? Viserys nodded worriedly. Will you? Rollo shook her head vigorously. The stranger will not take me now, she said firmly. If the Seven were kind, they would have granted life to your older siblings who did not live over a year. You hardly saw Rhaegar. Once we are safe, I will tell you all about him. What do you mean, mother? Rollo reached for her crown, silver studded with rubies and onyxes, and gave it to him. Your lord father forbade me to bring all my jewels here, she said, cringing as the first contraction stabbed through her. He said if I took all my jewels, I would sell them and escape to the free cities with you. He did not trust me. She laughed softly. Your inheritance is the 7 kingdoms, my son, but all I can give you is my crown. Another shot of pain jabbed her. If my Shaena had lived, I would gift her with my pendant, she thought. Promise me you will rid the realm of the usurper and his traitorous dogs, she insisted. The dragons will rule until the end of time. Say it. The dragons will rule until the end of time, Viserys stammered, almost shaking with fright. How? With fire and blood. Rollo smiled, content. She looked at Sir Willem d'Arry. You were right, sir, she said quietly. I was a fool to think the storm would save us from the usurper and his men. His dogs are all rabid, the lot of them. You must take Viserys away from here. Take him to Braavos where Elia, Rhaenys and Aegon will be. Ensure he is safe from harm, and when he is a man grown, wed him to either Rhaenys or a suitable princess or highborn maiden whose family is loyal to the Targaryens. Until he sires a child or two, do not reclaim his birthright. There must always be another dragon waiting in the wings. I understand, your grace, said Sir Willem seriously. He hesitated. What of yourself, your grace? You said the eunuch smuggled Elia and my grandchildren away, Rollo said thoughtfully. I'm certain he will be able to smuggle me and the babe to Braavos as well. In a few months' time, we will all be safe in Braavos. If I die, I charge you, Sir Willem d'Arry, to be King Viserys' guardian. There has never been a knight more loyal than you. She hissed as a third contraction twinged. Sir Willem, go. Please. Take Viserys to safety. Raise him to be the Prince Rhaegar was. It is not too late for him. Sir Willem bowed. Your grace. Trembling, he kissed her hand for what seemed like the last time. The gloominess of this place is affecting you, Rollo told herself as she breathed deeply. Think of the babe, think of the babe. Viserys followed suit and kissed her hand. I love you, my son. Rollo gritted her teeth as more pangs shot through her body. Sir Willem. I believe it is time for you to leave with my son. It pained her to make the decision for Sir Willem to smuggle Viserys away with a few devoted men. As much as she wanted to believe her house still had a chance to regain the Iron Throne from the Baratheon usurper, she knew the Targaryen cause was all but lost. The Tyrells had bent the knee, as did the d'Arrys, Ridgers, Moutongs and Goodbrooks. She suspected the Martells would have withdrew their forces by now. Prince Doran Martell, The Prince of Dorne was too cautious to keep fighting for the Targaryen cause. The Maester returned, struggling under the weight of a stack of towels. 2 servants accompanied him holding a basin of clear water. Rolla breathed again and closed her eyes. It was almost time. Underscore 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 underscore. Her vision blurred as she opened her eyes. For hours, she toiled and screamed before blackening out. Did the babe cry? Rolla groaned as pain prickled all over her. Why does it hurt so much? She blinked. Her vision was still hazy. Your Grace. The Maester's voice. She squinted and saw the vaguely familiar shape of the thin Maester hovering near the side of her bed. Where is my child? Her voice was weak. Too weak. King Viserys, Your Grace. He had already left Dragonstone under the care and protection of Sir Willem d'Ary, a wet nurse and 4 soldiers. The Maester gently placed a damp linen cloth on her forehead. It is cold, why am I feeling so warm? It is never warm here in Dragonstone, especially with another storm brewing outside. No. Rolla tried to move. More agony. My baby. Feverish, she closed her eyes again. She was so tired. She needed rest. Your Grace. I see fleets from the watchtower. They all bear the Baratheon flags. A soldier ran in, despair breaking in his voice. Your Grace. You must sail away. Dragonstone will be overrun with the usurper's men by dawn. So it is still midnight, or a little after that. Where is the fleet? Rolla croaked. Why is there suddenly light? Bright light flooded in the room. Destroyed. Another storm hit over the night, Your Grace, and the entire fleet was destroyed. Whilst anchored. You must sail away. But I am so tired, Rhaegar, she murmured, the figure of her eldest son, the silver-haired, dark indigo-eyed Crown Prince Rhaegar approaching her, holding out his hand. Following him with a scowl was Aerys, blood dripping everywhere he went. More familiar faces appeared. The Sword in the Morning, the White Bull, Prince Lewin Martell, Sir Jonathan d'Ary, Sir Oswell Went, Elia. She stood beside Rhaegar, a wailing babe in her arms, and Rhaenys standing hiding behind her. No. Sir Willem, said they. My child. Rolla choked for the final time before her beautiful Rhaegar touched her hand. A content smile, she went with him willingly. No. Ashura Dane stared at him with a look mixed between horror, outrage and defiance. It eerily reminded Ned of Lyanna's expression when their father attempted to prevent her from riding after her she began her first flowering. You are a woman now, he had informed her. Women do not gallop across fields with mud splattering on their skirts. It is the king's orders, Ned said uncomfortably. The king expects me to wed my brother's killer. Ashura laughed sharply. It must be a jape, a not very funny one either. Lady Ashura, it is no jape. You can read it for yourself. The king expects us to be wedded and bedded before I am required back in King's Landing for his own wedding to Lady Catelyn Tully. If his grace is committed on peace between the North, the Crown Lands and Dorne Lord Stark, he would not mind at all if you wed another highborn Dornish maiden. She folded the letter. For a moment, Ned thought she would rip it in half. Mayhaps you should wed Princess Arianne Martell. Ashura suggested. I hear she is willful child. What better match than a wild wolf of the north and a wayward daughter of Dorne? I thank you for your suggestion, my lady, but I doubt her father, Prince Doran, will approve of it. Do you honestly believe my brother, the Lord of Starfall, will approve of me as your bride? Do you think he would cart me off to a cold, barren land far away? Our brother is dead and I am a maiden in mourning. I will not wed until I have mourned Arthur sufficiently. My lady, you are not Sir Arthur's wife. Arthur wedded a position in the Kingsguard. As his sister, I must do my duty and mourn him. Lord Stark, you of all people must understand that. Ned sighed, gritting his teeth in frustration. Why must she be so stubborn? He never found enough strength to talk to obstinate women, he could not even win an argument against Lyanna. Do you want your house to face the king's wrath? He said rather testily. My lady, I am a man of honor and I acclaim you for your determination to mourn your brother. However, I too have lost people I love in this war. My father was slowly roasted to death in his armor, my elder brother strangled, my sister also dead, Lord William Dustin, Ethan Glover, Martin Castle, Theo Vull, Sir Mark Riswell, all slew outside the Tower of Joy, all the Northmen who fought beside me in this bloody war. He snatched a quick breath and went on, I have lost too many people I care about to count, my lady. Once peace reigns in Westeros, we can all mourn for our loved ones. You are no fool, my lady. You want peace as much as I do. Play your part. Wed me as the king instructed and mourn your brother afterwards. If you wish for our marriage to be only in name, so be it. I have my younger brother as my heir already. I will not force you to go to Winterfell with me, my lady. He looked at her steadily. Yet I yearn for us to be a true husband and wife for the good of peace. Ashura bit her lip. By the gods, she could be Lyanna's twin. Lyanna always bit her lip when in doubt or in deep thought. I can return here any time I wish, with or without your permission, my lord, she challenged. I will be allowed to bring a number of servants with me to Winterfell. Ned had not expected that. Ah, yes, my lady. Will your servants and maids adjust to the cold of the north? Believe me, my lady Ashura, it is nothing like your Dornish winters. Are Dornish winters even cold? If you so desire, we can draw up the terms of our marriage contract now. Do you not want to send a letter first to the Lord of Starfall, asking him for his consent and blessing to our marriage? She smirked. That will not be necessary. It is the king's command. Lady Ashura snorted. For a man of honor, that is not very honorable, now is it? Wedding a highborn lady without the permission of her lord brother. You are in luck, Lord Stark. My brother is occupied at Sunspear. He will not return for at least 2 months. My lady, you consent to willingly wed me. Ashura Dayne sighed. The king orders us to wed, she said bluntly. There is not much we can do. Why does the king demand me to marry you, Lord Stark? I doubt many ladies wed their brother's killers. You are a highborn maiden, Dornish. Lord Stark, you are a terrible liar. His face as hot and red as the red chili spices on his plate of greens last night, he muttered, my apologies, my lady. Lady Ashura smiled wryly. Ned tapped the letter. This had been written before Sir Arthur died. Lord Arryn is clever, he knows an alliance with Dorne is imperative. A good many of marriages between Dornish nobles and the king's allies will be needed, beginning with my marriage. The Martells will not relinquish one of their own, especially after the deaths of Prince Luwin and Princess Elia, and knowing this, Lord Arryn turns to Dorne's powerful noble houses. Houses Illyrian, Blackmont and Euronwood are only a few other noble houses in Dorne, but Lord Arryn convinces the king to broker a betrothal between your house of Starfall and mine of Winterfell. I suspect the reasons were related to the Sword of the Morning being one of the deadliest warriors in the 7 kingdoms and my position as the king's foster brother. I suppose you will not be a horrible husband, mused Ashura boldly. You were kind enough to return Dorne in person. Many lords will melt Dorne down to smaller swords of their own. Besides, we do not have much of a choice, my lord. It is the king's command after all. I must ask you a delicate question. I am still a maiden. She stared at him in the eye as if daring him to contradict her. Will that be all, Lord Stark? Ned rubbed his hands together and asked hesitantly, that night, when you danced with me. What did Brandon promise you? Why do you think he promised me anything? No beautiful woman would dance with a man like me willingly. I found it odd you consented to dance with me after he spoke to you. Merely a coincidence, my lord. Merely a coincidence. She smiled. When do you propose we wed? If it is not too bold of me, my lady, I was considering tonight. Ashura's smile vanished. We can wed in the September if you so wish, Ned said quickly. Lord Reed will witness our wedding ceremony in case any doubts of our marriage surfaces in the future. Is there a woman you trust to be witness to? Tonight. Lady Ashura repeated. That is quite sudden. I am aware of it, my lady. The sooner we wed. Ashura sighed and stood up. So be it. You have the king expecting you back at King's Landing. I will go and talk to the Septon. Perhaps I may even have time to find a suitable wedding gown. What of you, my lord? Will you take me as your wife in travel-stained clothes? She sniggered sweetly as Ned blushed. Then she shrugged. I do not care what you wear, Lord Stark. Even if you wed me in your armor, I will take you as my husband. Ned nodded. I will see you at the September tonight. Underscore 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 underscore. The candles wavered as Ned entered Starfall's September. Like all septs, there were 7 walls painted with the faces of the 7, the father, mother, maiden, smith, warrior, crone and the stranger. The septon, an old man with sprouts of white hair and many freckles, was already standing between the altars of the father and the mother. My Lord Stark. I see you found your way here without much trouble. Ashura gracefully glided towards him in a Dornish-style low-cut purple gown of flowing silks. She had kept on her star pendant and donned a new girdle, one of silver with grey diamonds. Her long, dark hair was left cascading down her slender shoulders up to her waist. She wore no jeweled hairnets, bands or wreaths. As she headed in his direction, he noticed a lilac cloak billowing out around her. It was a knight's cloak, most likely the sword of the mornings, and upon short notice, it would serve perfectly as a maiden's cloak. Ned himself had clasped a white cloak emblazoned with a running grey direwolf over his shoulders. The maids had managed to scrub away the splatters of dirt and blood during the hot afternoon. They did it exceedingly well. Taking Ned's arm, Ashura walked with him up to the septon, Ashura's gown shifting shades between light purple and dark. She is indeed a gem of dawn, Ned thought. The septon cleared his throat. You may now cloak the bride and bring her under your protection. Breathing softly, Ned removed Ashura's cloak and draped his own over her shoulders, his hands slightly shaking as he clasped it together. He grasped her hand and the septon tied a silk ribbon around their hands. In the sight of the 7, I hereby seal these 2 souls, binding them as one, for eternity, droned the septon. Look upon one another and say the words. Ned turned and gazed at Ashura Dane, who stared back expressionlessly. Will. Ned turned and gazed at Ashura Dane, who stared back expressionlessly. Will she find me an unpleasant husband? Father, smith, warrior, he said solemnly in unison with Ashura, mother, maiden, crone, stranger, I am hers and she is mine from this day until the end of my days. He kissed her lightly on the cheek. A proper kiss can wait. The ceremony over, Ned and Ashura left for the feasting hall, where they, along with little Lady Illyria Dane and Howland, were served no more than 5 courses, all including spices or lemons. The first course consisted of stuffed green peppers with cheese and onion. The second was a hearty meal of roasted lamb drizzled with lemon and honey. It was followed by spicy duck dunked in a tub of sticky, dark sauce with swimming slices of onions. The penultimate serving contained small cakes with flavors alternating between lemon and cream, and the servants presented them with a bowl of cold fruit to finish off the wedding feast. It did not surprise Ned to see thinly cut lemons there. We will prepare to leave at dawn, Ned told his silent wife. Do you have a Castellan to rule Starfall in your stead? Yes, came the quiet response. He can take care of Illyria too. When it is safe, Lady Illyria can join us in Winterfell. I'll be more than happy to foster her. No. She bit her lip. It pains me to say this, my lord, but no. My sister is too young to face your northern climate. She belongs here in Starfall. Arthur is dead, our brother remains at Sunspear, and I will leave with you for King's Landing at dawn tomorrow. Illyria will stay here until she is old enough to be fostered. I may send for her at a later time. Ned touched her hand. Ned. Call me Ned. If it is the northern winters you are concerned about, what of Riverrun? Lord Tully will be glad to foster her. No. There must always be a Dane in Starfall. He stared at her. Noticing his look, Ashura asked, was it something I said? I mean no offense if I did. No, said Ned, swirling his cup of Dornish strong wine. It's just my father oft said there must always be a Stark in Winterfell. At the tourney at Harrenhal, he wanted to leave one of us at home, but we all wanted to go. Ashura smiled forlornly. What is done cannot be undone. Now we have a new king on the Iron Throne, and there will be peace for many winters to come. If you do not mind me asking, which Stark is in Winterfell as you speak? My brother Benjen. I suppose he will find a northern bride of his own when we return to Winterfell. Not a southern high-born maiden. No, I wedded you for peace with the south. Benjen will wed a northern girl to strengthen our house's ties with the other northern lords. I thought you wedded me to obey the king's orders. That too. He rose, Ashura, Illyria and Howland following suit. My lady. He nodded at a sleepy Illyria. My lord. He dipped his head at Howland. My lady wife, and I bid you good night. Underscore 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 underscore. The small party set off for King's Landing the next day as the sun slowly crept up the blanket of yellow, orange and red. Ashura had brought along 20 of her household knights and a maid by the name of Wyler. Ashura had tearfully bade her sister farewell before she left. She had not looked back at Starfall since. It had been too hazardous to sail, so they were forced to ride. Ned wondered if Robert would wait for his return before he wed Catelyn Tully. Waiting had never been one of Robert's strengths. As they neared the remains of the Tower of Joy, Ashura had fallen back with Wyler, leaving Ned a chance to speak to the little Cranogman. I wish you had rowed back earlier, Ned said softly. You would have been alone, Howland Reed responded. Who would have helped you bury the poor messenger? I admire your loyalty, I am grateful for it, but the roads to Winterfell are treacherous, especially now as peace is yet to be achieved. There is naught for you to worry about. The Maester was aware of his orders and he is well guarded. My 2 men may not have been brawny or large, but I can assure you, they are clever, skilled and trustworthy. You have also written a letter to your brother Benjen, have you not? By the time we reach King's Landing, the Maester and your boy will no doubt be close to Winterfell. Once they are near the Riverlands, all will be well. It is their journey through Dawn and the Reach that I am more concerned about. If something occurs, the Maester is aware that he can visit Highgarden for a spot of recovery. Maesters treat Old Town as their home and Lord Hightower rules over it. He himself serves Lord Tyrell, whose seat is Highgarden. All will be well, my lord. If only I can be as confident as you, Lord Reed. What did you name him? Howland inquired. John, said Ned absently, thinking of the prospect of his future brood of sons and daughters running around Winterfell laughing, some with his grey eyes and others with Ashura's violet eyes. He longed to return home. He had more than his share of war and was more than ready to spend the rest of his life in the north. I will rule the north in the name of King Robert Baratheon. Traitors and deserters will be executed, loyal men commended. Does Lady Stark know of him? Not yet. She will eventually. I trust you will keep all this to yourself, Lord Reed. I ask you of this as a friend, not your liege lord. The faithful Cranogman nodded. You did not even have to ask, my lord. I know when to keep my mouth shut. The journey from Starfall to King's Landing took less time than Ned expected. He had thought Ashura and Wyler would be exhausted when they arrived, but they had shown no signs of fatigue. Ashura is as strong as a Mormont, thought Ned as he remembered Lord Gia Mormont's stout sister mage, who favored the spiked mace to a sewing needle. She will survive the north, she is no fragile flower from the garden of Southron highborn maidens. As Ned rode under the Red Keep's portcullis with Ashura at his side, he was hit with mixed feelings. The last time Ned rode in the Red Keep, he found the Oathbreaker Jaime Lannister sitting on the throne, the body of the Mad King Aerys II Targaryen at his feet. Ned wondered if Robert had sent him to the wall yet. His displeasure was confirmed when the Oathbreaker himself sauntered out from a great oaken door. Ned grinded his teeth in the manner similar to Stannis Baratheon as Jaime Lannister walked up to him, his mop of golden hair sparkling under the sunlight like strands of gold, his eyes glimmering like emeralds as he smiled at Ned and Ashura. Lord Stark, the Oathbreaker said with a smile that cut like a knife. You have finally returned. Lord Tully was frantic. You have been killed by a horde of angry Dornishmen and he will witness your funeral rather than his precious daughter's wedding. He smirked. His Grace requests you in the Great Hall immediately. Ah. His smile broadened as he caught sight of his wife. Lady Ashura Dane. Lady Ashura Stark now, isn't it? Sir Jaime, Ashura acknowledged, dismounting her horse. You are well. Quite well, my lady. He smiled charmingly. His Grace will be eager to see you as well. Is that Lord Reed I see? Giving him a suspicious look, Ned headed to the Great Hall, Jaime Lannister's chattering nothing but the buzzing of a fly. He felt his hand squeezed. Face your ghosts, Ned whispered Ashura. You cannot enjoy life while tied to the ghosts of your past. He nodded. Our marriage may not be as unbearable as I thought it would be. He smiled to himself. It was the first time Ashura called him Ned without hesitation. The doors swung open and Ned was blinded by a flurry of courtiers. Brown-haired Tyrells huddled near the doors, golden-haired Lannisters stood proudly near the foot of the throne, auburn-haired Tullys opposite them, sitting on the throne with a grin on his ruddy face. King Robert Baratheon boomed. Ned. What took you so long? It has been weeks. He almost jumped from the dais as he strode towards Ned and pulled him into a hug with a hearty pat on the back. I thought you would never show your face, he chuckled. Tywin Lannister here had the temerity to suggest you abandoned me for your cold Winterfell. That will never happen, eh, Ned? Ned smiled at his old friend. Have you met my wife, the Lady Ashura? Ashura curtsied. Your Grace. Robert bade her to stand and kissed her hand chivalrously. My lady, he grinned. You are fortunate to have Ned as a husband. Solemn as an old man and probably no fun in bed, but you know he will remain faithful to you. He winked at her before turning his attention back to Ned. You remember my betrothed, Lady Catelyn Tully. She was to be my good sister at one time. Ned nodded at Lady Catelyn. My lady. My lords and ladies. Robert's voice bounced off the walls. Now that my good friend Eddard Stark, Lord of Winterfell, has finally returned to court, I am pleased to announce my wedding to Lady Catelyn of House Tully will occur next week. My Lady Catelyn and I have waited long enough. He roared with laughter as the other lords and ladies joined him. What of Lord Stannis? Inquired Ned, looking around for Robert's grim-faced and teeth-grinding younger brother. Lord Stannis is still sailing from Dragonstone. A plump, bald man in bright purple silks stepped forward, bringing the smell of lilacs and perfume with him. He rubbed his hands as soft as a woman's together and spoke. Have you not heard, Lord Stark? Lord Stannis has captured Dragonstone without a single drop of blood and is sailing back as we speak with 2 valuable pieces of cargo. Can you imagine what he brings with him, Lord Stark? Varies. Ned did not bother hiding his contempt for the wily eunuch. Stannis has captured the last of the dragon spawn, said Robert triumphantly, grinning from ear to ear. Once he leads them here in chains, you, my friend, will finally extract your revenge for your dead father and brother. Ned felt his throat tighten. I honor you, Ned, Robert continued, his blue eyes shining, with the gift of 2 Targaryen dragon spawn. You will have the honor of killing them in any manner you find fit. I honor you, Ned, the king had said gruffly, his blue eyes sparkling like the sapphires in Lady Catelyn Tully's auburn hair, with the gift of 2 Targaryen dragon spawn. You will have the honor of killing them in any manner you find fit. Ashura felt her husband tense up. Killing Targaryens is the last thing Ned will want to do, she thought, squeezing his hand again. No, Ned said coldly. I will not kill innocent children. Ned. Your father, brother and sister are dead at the hands of all those dragon bastards. I'm giving you the chance for revenge. I will never forget their deaths, but there has been far too much bloodshed. It is time for peace. Killing 2 Targaryen children will not bring them back. What of all the men that fought for us? Will killing Targaryens bring them back too? Killing foes in war is necessary, killing for fun is despicable, but killing children is bloody barbaric. No, Your Grace. I will not kill Targaryens for you. The king's face reddened. It is not for me. It is for your family. Ned shook his head flatly. No, Your Grace. There is no honor in killing little children. Would you kill them yourself? That is a. Will you kill them yourself, Your Grace? Give me the honor, Your Grace. A portly man of average height with a piggy face and small pig-like eyes stepped forward. In a high, thin voice, the man said again, Give me the honor, Your Grace. I am more than willing to kill Targaryen dragon spawn for you. Sir Amory Lorque. Disgust entered Ned's voice. Do you enjoy killing babes and young children? Only those traitorous to his grace, Lord Stark. Only those. Are you mad, Lorque? How are children traitorous? Enough. The king's eyes blazed with irritation. Ned, I understand you had a long journey. Go and rest. Chambers have been prepared for you and your wife. Lork, go and make yourself useful somewhere. Lord Lannister. Send your man back to Casterly Rock or somewhere. I do not have the time to deal with him at the moment. Ned, go and rest. Now. Take your lady wife with you. Ned bowed and Ashura curtsied. King Robert Baratheon was not what she had expected. She had never thought a king would keep child killers in his court. Perhaps Robert did not have the chance to sentence Lork yet. Ned, ventured Ashura cautiously. I will not see more children dead, her husband muttered, clenching his fists with anger. So many little ones have died already. Does Robert not see it, or does he simply not care? I thought he would be a better man than this. I will not kill the last 2 Targaryen children. Give him a week. He has not been on the throne for long. All new rulers feel uneasy with potential claimants alive. I fear what the Lannisters and Tyrells are whispering in his ear. Especially the Lannisters. They murdered Rhaenys, Aegon and Elia and will not be afraid to get their hands stained with more Targaryen blood. Once Robert weds Catelyn Tully, I will confront him. He must rid the land of Lork and Clegane. Even the wall is too good for them. It is dishonorable if he allows them to live. I hope he sees sense quickly. Ned, rest. We traveled for weeks and you are exhausted. We need you in better spirits tomorrow. She smiled encouragingly at him. How else will you survive this pit of snakes? Ned said dryly. The stags are surrounded by a growing pride of lions in a field of growing roses with hidden thorns. The falcons hover over the stags, but how long will they be able to protect them? The trouts splash and swim in the rivers, helplessly unable to help as the lions rip the stags into shreds. Then there is the pack of wolves on the other side of the river bank. I won't be surprised if there are serpents hidden in the grass, ready to strike when the time is ripe. I will be happier when he leave for Winterfell. King Robert is your childhood friend. He will be a fool to abandon you. Lord Arryn will never have your friendship dissolved. If Robert decides to banish me, there is little Lord Arryn can do. Robert is the king, no longer the headstrong boy he fostered at the Eyrie. He sounded sad. I found our time together in the Eyrie to be filled with the most joyful memories. I hope Robert thinks it too. Ashura patted his hand dutifully. I should not act this way to my brother's killer. I should be spitting at him like a hissing cat, not calming him with soothing words. By the gods, will I allow love to overcome the fact he killed Arthur? I am a terrible sister. As she went with Ned to their chambers, she felt her emotions twist themselves in a knot. In the span of a few weeks, her brother had died, she met his killer and then married him. When did she speak kindly to him? Was it before or after he swore a number of vows regarding his faithfulness and honor? She vaguely remembered. This is for peace, she reminded herself. Even if I yearn him dead, it is far too late. The king will have my head if he discovers his best friend dead at the hands of a spiteful and avenging wife. I will have a servant bring us food, said Ned, breaking the few minutes of silence. You must rest too. Where is Lord Reed? I think Robert did not see him. Howland had always been good at hiding and blending when he is not wanted. You and Lord Reed are good friends. Ned opened the door and gazed at her reminiscently. Without Howland Reed, it would have been your brother returning to you in blazing glory. Underscore 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 underscore. Two servants brought in breakfast the next morning with a message notifying Ned and Ashura of Stannis Baratheon's arrival and their presence required in the Great Hall in half an hour. Ashura had never set foot outside Dorne except for the tourney at Harrenhal and even then, found the cuisine slightly odd to her usual Dornish food. Today, she was served a fresh loaf of bread with cream stew and a cup of sweet plum wine. Delicious. On a full stomach, Ashura left for the Great Hall with Ned, who hardly touched his stew or wine. She made him eat 2 slices of bread at least. Upon arrival, she immediately noticed a larger crowd of lords and ladies. Making their way to the front, Ashura caught a glimpse of a silver blonde-haired boy holding a sleeping babe swaddled in rags. Standing at the foot of the throne with his arms crossed was a large, sinewy man of looming height and broad shoulders. His dark blue eyes bore at certain lords as he kept a grim expression. Ashura noted he only had a fringe of black hair and his beard was close cropped across his large jaw. That must be Lord Stannis Baratheon, only he would be grim at a time when victory was his. Beside him was a man with brown hair and eyes and a beard peppered with grey. If the first joints of the fingers of his left hand were not missing, she would not have recognized him as the former smuggler and infamous Onion Knight, Sir Davos Seaworth. Lord Stark. Stannis had noticed Ned. I take your mission to Dorne was more than successful. His gaze shifted to Ashura. His Grace did tell me you wedded a Dornish noblewoman. He neglected to mention it was Sir Arthur Dayne's sister. My lady. He nodded at her. Ashura nodded back. Lord Stannis. His Grace King Robert Baratheon the first of his name. Ashura curtsied with the other ladies as the king marched to the throne, his lips curved in a grin. He slapped his brother on the shoulder. Well done, he said jovially. I am proud to call you my brother. Only you would bring them back to my alive. If I sent Ned, he would have freed them or even helped them escape. If I ordered one of Lord Tywin's men, they would butcher them to death. Well done, my brother. You've done your duty well. Stannis nodded, as serious as ever. Thank you, your grace. Now, who do we have here? He glared down at the scowling boy. Where is that Targaryen bitch queen? I had hoped to fuck her before burning her at the stake or removing her head. She died, your grace. Eh? You killed her. I didn't think you had it in you. He snorted. Stannis stared at him and said somberly. Rhaella Targaryen died of childbed fever, your grace. She died giving birth to her daughter. How unfortunate. One dragon bitch dead after giving birth a dragon whelp. If only you killed her before she gave birth, brother. Stannis looked appalled. I will never kill a pregnant woman. More's the pity. Sir Gregor would do it, perhaps Lorque would too. Ned. The king turned to Ashura's silent husband. My gifts to you. Kill the dragon spawn in any manner you find fit. Burn them, stab them, hang them, I don't care. I expect to see them dead by the evening. Guards. Take the dragon spawn to the Black Cells. Perhaps after a night there they will show fear. Get them out of my sight. Now, to business. He settled on the throne and waited for the lords and ladies to cease whispering. For his loyalty and aid in securing Dragonstone and capturing the last of the dragon spawn, I name my brother Stannis Baratheon the Lord of Storm's End. He decided, he will also have a place in my small council as the master of ships. Well done, brother. I hope to see you at my wedding. A few of the courtiers snickered. Lord Stannis at a wedding. Ashura thought, watching Stannis Baratheon grind his teeth and thank his brother. I wager 100 gold dragons to see him laugh. Furthermore, the king continued, he will be Lord Protector of Dragonstone until a suitable lord can be found, and our brother Renly will be the Lord of the Rainwood once he is of age. I have also elected to forgive House Connington for siding with the dragon spawn, and Sir Ronald Connington will keep his lands on the condition 9/10 of them are given to the crown. Sir Ronald will further lose the lordship of Griffin's Roost but will be the first knight of Griffin's Roost instead. After my wedding, my hand, Lord Arryn, will leave for Dorne to return the bones of Luwin Martell and broker peace with Dorne's prince. He paused and shot a meaningful look at his old hand. The last we want is more war, he added grudgingly. Lord Varys will maintain his position as the Master of Whispers as Pycelle will as the Grand Maester. Despite fighting on the side of the Mad King, Sir Barristan Selmy will remain in my Kingsguard and will be Lord Commander. For Lord Stark's benefit, I will say again that Sir Jaime Lannister will continue as a member of the Kingsguard as he had committed no crime warranting death or the wall. Ashura glanced at Ned. He had closed his eyes for a moment, revealing nothing. She was glad he did not argue or raise his voice with protest. Underscore 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 underscore. Lady Stark. Ashura turned as she saw Catelyn Tully approach. She smiled and nodded. Lady Catelyn. The future queen nodded back and beamed warmly. How are you finding your married life, Lady Stark? She asked, her sapphire blue eyes sparkling with sincerity. You are fortunate to have Lord Stark as husband. I did not expect to be Lord Stark's wife, said Ashura honestly, immediately taking a liking to Lady Catelyn Tully. I always thought I would be wedded to some Dornish lord my brother or father wishes to ally himself with, not the great lord of Winterfell. Catelyn laughed like a lark. I too am betrothed to a man I did not expect, she said agreeably. Firstly to Lord Brandon Stark, then to your husband when he was unmarried of course, and finally to the king. I remember you from the feast at the tourney at Harrenhal, Lady Stark. You danced with Lord Stark, did you not? She thought for a moment. And Sir Barristan the Bold. You have an excellent memory, Lady Catelyn. The tourney at Harrenhal seems nothing but a speck in the past. Catelyn darkened. A memorable speck. Ashura nodded in agreement. Every girl must be envious of you. The great Robert Baratheon is king and you will be his queen. You must be counting down the days till the wedding. Yes. She sounded strained, though my father seems to look forward to it more than I do. If I may be bold, you will be a wonderful queen, Lady Catelyn. Catelyn Tully smiled at her. Thank you, Lady Stark. She hesitated. I know this may be too soon, but I will be honored if you will serve even for a short time as one of my ladies. I wish for us to be friends. I am asking you this as a bewildered woman, not a future queen. I am honored to be your friend, Lady Catelyn. However, my husband is more keen on returning to Winterfell. If the king was not his friend, he wouldn't stay here longer than he desires. He might not have even stopped here. Do not fret about Lord Stark. The king will convince him to stay here for a few more months, I'm certain of it. What is the Stark saying again? There must always be a Stark in Winterfell. Lord Stark's younger brother still remains in Winterfell. There is no hurry for Lord Stark to return. It sounds as if you find King's Landing your home already. My home is with my family. It echoed eerily like the words a child would learn from a tutor. Ashura faintly remembered the Tully words. Something to do with family, duty, honor, Catelyn said, as if reading her thoughts. I do not know how to stay by them once I wed the king. Lady Stark, you probably heard of the king's numerous, natural children. What if he decides on a whim to bring them here? I cannot possibly be a mother to them. Ashura listened and sympathized with her. On the way to King's Landing, Ned had told her of Robert's large appetite for women. She felt sorry for the kind-hearted Catelyn Tully and prayed the Seven will be kind to her. You will be queen, said Ashura helpfully. Queen, said Catelyn bitterly. Being queen means naught to me. Oh, it is a great prize for those like Cersei Lannister, but to me, it is nothing. I still marry a great lord, I will still bear him his sons, I will still be mistress of a castle. Married to King Robert only means I will have to tolerate his womanizing ways. If Cersei Lannister yearns to be queen so much, I would gladly give it to her, my father will never allow that. You will be a fairer queen than Cersei Lannister. Ashura had glimpsed the strikingly beautiful Cersei Lannister yesterday and instantly disliked her. Cersei's brilliant green eyes held nothing but contempt and her lips were curved in either a sneer or a scowl. She felt sorry for whoever was chosen to be Cersei Lannister's husband. The poor man would no doubt die from her sharp words mere minutes after wedding her. Thank you, Lady Stark. Call me Ashura, please. We are friends, are we not? Catelyn smiled. If that is the case, then call me Catelyn. I always thought I was destined for the cold north, not King's Landing. You will be the leading lady at court, Catelyn. Do not think of the future. Enjoy the present. Nobles and commoners alike will clamber to you as their queen-to-be. No one will object to you as queen, except one. Cersei Lannister. The two of them laughed like young maidens rather than a wife and a future queen. That was how Stannis Baratheon found them. Lady Ashura Stark, the solemn Stannis grunted. Lady Catelyn. Both of you are requested in the Great Hall. He was clearly unhappy to serve as his brother's herald. If you will come with me. He stalked silently to the Great Hall, Catelyn and Ashura behind him. The walls were thick, but before the guards could open the doors, Ashura heard loud arguing from inside. She groaned. It was only their second day in King's Landing and Ned had struck a second quarrel about the last remaining Targaryens with the king. Glancing at Stannis, she noticed he looked more tired than sullen. "My lord," said Catelyn cautiously. "Is something amiss?" "I cannot help but notice." "Targaryens," snapped Stannis grouchily. "Every morning and every evening, all I hear is his grace growling about them as dragon spawn and abominations in our world. Has he forgotten our grandmother was a Targaryen?" Any other lord would apologize for his abruptness, but Stannis, a man of bluntness and honesty, said nothing more and marched into the great hall. Catelyn shrugged at Ashura and followed. Ashura herself trailed in, muttering a quick prayer for Ned to cease arguing. How long will the king endure Ned's obstinacy? Ashura was not surprised as saw the Targaryen boy clutching his baby sister stand in front of the throne again. So much for keeping them in the black cells for the night, she mused. The king's face was red with fury as he roared at Ned, "I cannot allow those dragon spawn to remain alive. They are children, Robert," Ned said in frustration. "What if that bastard Rhaegar won, eh? Do you think he will spare Renly? All those fucking Targaryens think of is fire and fucking blood. You are not a monster, Robert. Show them clemency. Let the people think of you as a merciful king who will not murder innocent children bearing the cursed name of Targaryen. Would you rather be remembered as Robert the Good or Robert the Child Killer? For fuck's sake, Ned. I am your king. And I am your friend." Ned had quietened considerably. "I fought for you, my men died for you. I married Lady Ashura Dayne on your orders. I long to return home to Winterfell, but I will stay here until you deem me fit to return. I will not complain, only if you swear by the old gods and the new that you will not shed a single drop of Targaryen blood." Stannis cleared his throat. "Long last," the king grumbled, not even bothering to greet his betrothed. He walked to Catelyn and presented her a silver bracelet. Upon closer examination, Ashura saw the silver chain connected to a small stag wrought from onyxes as black as coal, a dragon formed from rubies as red as blood, a turtle fashioned from emeralds as green as lush grass and a trout made from pearls as white as snow. "This is a family heirloom," he explained, slipping it around her wrist. "All the Baratheon ladies of Storm's End wear it from the time of my grandmother Raoul. After she added her father's sigil, it became custom for wives to add theirs too. The turtle is of House Estermont, my mother's house. As we are to wed, I thought it fitting to add yours, my lady. A silver trout from House Tully. Stannis, is not Lady Catelyn beautiful with our late mother's bracelet?" Stannis's lips tightened and he stayed silent. Robert snorted. "I hope you learn to compliment your own future wife soon enough." He glanced at the Targaryen children, turned to Ned and Ashura and sighed, defeated. "You will remain here as my master of laws," he challenged. "You will not run back to Winterfell after my wedding with Lady Catelyn." Ashura nodded tentatively with her husband. Grumbling unhappily, Robert looked at Stannis. "Escort my betrothed back to her chambers," he ordered. "Ned, Ashura and I have matters to discuss." He waited until Stannis and Catelyn left and said promptly, "You will tell the court Sir Ilyn Payne accidentally killed the boy when he wouldn't stop screaming down in the black cells and the babe was too weak to survive. No, don't interrupt me, Ned, a day down there. Every lord will believe the word of the Honorable Lord Stark. Do what you want with the girl, best to kill her, but if you want to keep her, ensure I never see or hear her name again. If I catch a whim of her alive, I will stab her myself. As for the boy, show me a body before I wed Catelyn Tully." He reached for his cup of wine on the table nearby. "If you don't, I have no choice but to declare you my enemy and a traitor to the realm." From his honored place to the left of the bride, Hoster Tully could not stop smiling. The day had finally come when his beloved cat had wed the king. It was too good to be true, his own daughter queen. He was thrilled when Lord Rickard Stark offered his heir Lord Brandon, as husband for his cat. Yes, the north would be cold, but House Stark was an influential and powerful great house. With his house united with House Stark, the Riverlands could be more protected. The Riverlands had an unfortunate history of serving as battlefields. A toast. To their graces King Robert and Queen Catelyn. Hoster raised his jeweled cup and drank deeply. "Ah, Abergold." He looked at his radiant daughter and smiled. "Queen Cat." He sipped again. "I should have betrothed Lysa to one of the Redwyne twins," he thought. An endless supply of Arbor gold would be an excellent clause in the marriage contract. It would have occurred if the Blackfish did as he was told and married Bethany Redwine years ago. Thinking of his stubborn brother darkened his mood. He shook his brother from his mind. It would do him no good to brood over him. Today was Kat's day. Looking prettier than ever, Kat's handmaids had left her auburn hair flowing down her back, decorated with nothing but the silver tiara Robert gave her as one of 3 betrothal gifts. Matching the belt of rubies and pearls, Kat wore a necklace of rubies as dark and murky as the red in House Tully's sigil and pearls as snowy as the white field of House Stark's sigil. She had donned a dark blue gown lined with red Mirish lace and after the ceremony, the Baratheon cloak of yellow velvet and a stag sewed from black onyxes. Sweet Queen Kat was a splendid sight. Robert would be a fool if he did not find her beautiful enough to bed. Like every other lord and lady, Hoster had heard rumors of Robert's large appetite for women. It was further confirmed when he spoke to Jon Arryn, who told him of the bastard girl Robert left in the Vale. Hoster himself had never lain with another woman apart from his beloved Minissa. Sowing bastards went against his house words. Family, duty, honor. He hoped Robert's mountain of bastards would cease upon his marriage to Kat. Mayhaps Eddard Stark would have been a better choice as husband, Hoster mused. He is certainly an honorable man and one of good morals. If he did not have those grey eyes or bear the name Stark, I would have mistaken him for an Arryn. Ned Stark certainly learned from his foster father. A pity King Robert did not. Smacking his lips after draining his cup of Arbor gold, Hoster speared a slice of roasted goose with his knife and began chewing it as he watched Robert roar with appreciation at the suckling pig drenched in plum sauce, an apple clenched in its jaws. A Fossoway has found herself in the grip of a Crickehall, he heard the king boom. At the trestle tables below, both the Crickehalls of Crickehall and the red apple Fossoways of Cider Hall stiffened. Robert only snorted louder, slapping silent Stannis on the back. In cruel and rather poor jest, one of the servants had placed onion pie in front of him. Lord Tully, how are you finding the roasted goose? Tender enough, Hoster answered, nodding at Lord Jon Arryn, who sat on Edmure's empty seat. After nibbling on a fingerfish crisped in breadcrumbs and spooning up some creamy chestnut soup, Edmure had went off to dance with a pretty Tyrell maiden in green. A Tyrell would be an excellent choice of wife for my son. Mace Tyrell had no daughters of yet. Edmure's dance partner must be one of his cousins or nieces. The Tyrells prosper in radiance and mass like the many roses in Highgarden. Are you enjoying the feast, Lord Arryn? He inquired, stabbing another piece of roasted goose. It is an admirable way to unite Robert with his lords, Jon Arryn replied, his blue eyes scanning the lower tables like a hawk or more a falcon befitting his house sigil. Rather than bloodshed, Robert dines with his nobles at a wedding feast, illuminating peace between the houses great and small. A pity the Prince of Dawn refused to come. He sighed gloomily. I hope I will survive the journey to Dawn and back. I fear I am not getting any younger. A spark of apprehension appeared in his eyes. It is not too late. No, Hoster cut through bluntly like a knife through freshly churned butter. I thought we have already discussed this, Lord Arryn. You swore a vow by the old gods and the new that you will wed my Lysa. She is a beautiful and sweet girl, a little shy, but fertile. Is that not what you need, Lord Arryn? A young, fertile wife to bear you the much-needed sons. Lord Tully, do you not wish to wed your daughter to a more handsome and younger man than I? What about our Lord Stannis Baratheon? He is now the Lord of Storm's End and the king's brother. Your house will be forever united with House Baratheon, one daughter wedded to the king, the other wedded to his current heir presumptive. The Lannisters may think that a wonderful idea, but I do not. Kat's wedding secured an alliance between the Riverlands and King's Landing. Strategically, an alliance with the Westerlands would be beneficial. It would have occurred if Sir Jaime Lannister did not join the bloody Kingsguard, but my daughter needs a whole man as husband, not a dwarf. What about Edmure and Cersei? I rejected the dwarf as husband for my daughter. Tywin Lannister refused Cersei for my son. His goblet refilled, he drank more and went on, that is not the point, Lord Arryn. We agreed that once Robert is king, your betrothal to Lysa will be announced and you will wed her after Robert wedded Catelyn. He nodded at Robert, kissing a happy Catelyn's hand. They are wedded and will soon be bedded. What are your house words again, Lord Arryn? As high as honor. Will you break your word, my lord? My lord, why are you so insistent on the match? Surely there are other lords more than willing to wed a daughter of Riverrun. Hoster stood up. Lord Arryn, please come for a walk with me. Jon obliged and the two leisurely strolled out of the great hall and towards the courtyard. No one will wed Lysa. Hoster lowered his voice. There was a situation involving Lysa and my former ward, the Baelish boy. Baelish. He is from the Fingers, is he not? Yes, yes. I befriended the boy's father in the War of the Nine Penny Kings and foolishly decided to foster the boy in Riverrun alongside my own children. It will come as no surprise to you, my lord, if I tell you he impregnated Lysa. I promptly sent him away and made Lysa drink moon tea, but with the loss of Maidenhead, I will no longer be able to find her a good match. I regret not informing you this earlier, but as you are quite reluctant now, I thought it best to tell you. I trust you are a man of your word and can keep this a secret between us. The king's hand nodded slowly. I cannot go back on my word, he admitted with a sigh. Are you certain you wish for your daughter to wed me, Lord Tully? I have the power to find her a more suitable match now I am hand of the king. In a matter of days, I can arrange for Lady Lysa to marry a good man, perhaps one of the Tyrells or a Lannister, or maybe even to Lord Stark's younger brother. You desired for an alliance with the North, did you not? I can easily arrange it if you still wish it, my lord. You are a good man, Lord Arryn. Wedding you, Lysa will be the Lady of the Eyrie. Wedding Benjen Stark, she will be nothing but the wife of Lord Stark's only surviving, younger brother. I cannot change your mind. Lord Arryn sounded beaten. Hoster shook his head firmly. My lord, I will be more than honored to have you as my good son and ally. I have refused the offers from a good many of my Lord Bannermen, including Lords Blackwood and Bracken. Jon Arryn sighed again. So be it, Lord Tully. With your consent, I will marry your daughter 2 days before I depart for Dorne. Underscore 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 underscore. Hoster stroked his brown reddish beard thoughtfully as he listened to Lord Lytton Hightower suggest further points to Edmure and his daughter Lady Layla Hightower's pending marriage contract. The Hightowers were one of the oldest and proudest of the great houses. Edmure was fortunate to find himself soon to be betrothed to one. 2 new trading routes between Old Town and the Riverlands will be created after Sir Edmure and Layla wed, decided Lord Lytton, wiping his mouth with a cloth. Furthermore, their wedding will be held here. Here? Hoster arched an eyebrow. Why not at Riverrun or Old Town? I have always wanted to visit Old Town one day, and what better occasion than to go and witness my heir's wedding to your daughter? Lytton frowned and shrugged. I don't see why not. Old Town it is. I suppose I can arrange for Sir Edmure and Layla to wed in the starry September. Perhaps after they wed, they can spend a few days in Highgarden. My daughter Aeleri is the wife of Lord Tyrell. I'm confident she will be more than willing to host her sister and good brother in Highgarden for a couple of days. Whilst they dwell there, I am more than happy to arrange for one of my sons to show you around Old Town and our family seat, the Hightower. Maybe in a year or 2, I will pay a visit to the Riverlands in return. Fair enough. I am quite eager to see the starry September. A splendid sight, Lord Tully. A splendid sight. Before you ask, my lord, I can assure you Layla is a woman grown and ripe to bear children. He smiled broadly at Hoster. It won't be long before there is a school of little Tullys swimming in Riverrun, eh? All as handsome and lovely as your son and daughters. He nodded at Cat discreetly. Very beautiful. And I am assured of your military support if the need of it arises. Yes, as I am assured of yours. Hoster nodded. Excellent. Now all we need to seal our alliance is to wed my son and your daughter. Will there be anything else, Lord Hightower? One small matter. Yes. Perhaps when you have a litter of grandsons, you will consent for one to be trained as a maester in Old Town. By then, I will be old and longing to see a Tully grandson near me. That will be up to the child, Lord Hightower. I cannot promise an unborn child to be a maester of yet. What if Lady Layla only gives Edmure one son like my late wife gave me? However, I will consider one of my future grandsons to squire for your heir when the time comes. Lytton Hightower nodded in agreement. Very well. He raised his goblet and toasted. May the gods bless our alliance. Hoster clinked goblets with him and both men drank deeply. Is the Lady Layla here at court? Inquired Hoster. Slight disappointment bit him as Lytton shook his head. King's Landing is not safe for maidens. She is in the High Tower with her younger sisters. Very wise. Who will be foolish enough to bed your daughter? The fool will find the wall merciful compared to being gelded. Come to Riverrun with your family after the king's wedding celebrations, he suggested hopefully. Edmure and Lady Layla will have an opportunity to meet and converse with each other before they wed. Chaperoned, of course. Lytton frowned. They will still wed on the agreed day, Hoster added hastily. I am not one to break my word. I just thought it would be nice for Edmure and your daughter to spend time together in Riverrun before their wedding. Lady Layla will reside in Riverrun after she weds Edmure, why not show her around now? I believe Lady Layla will grow to love Riverrun as a home soon enough. I suppose they should have a chance to meet, Lytton ceded. I'll send a raven to the High Tower tomorrow morning and have my son Garth escort Layla here with a number of my household knights. After a few days' respite, if you agree, we all leave for Riverrun, including my heir, Baylor, and his wife Rhonda Rowan. My heir and good daughter are dancing over there. He nodded at a tall, relatively handsome man dancing gracefully with a pretty girl in silvery grey. Baylor was once considered a suitor to Princess Elia of Dawn, he said suddenly. She and her brother, the Red Viper, visited Old Town and I heard rumors that Elia of Dawn liked Baylor the best from her list of suitors. He quietened. I doubt we would be celebrating King Robert's wedding if Elia Martell married Baylor. She would still be alive and safe in the High Tower. Hoster nodded uncomfortably. My uncle, the White Bull, would be alive and well too, Lytton went on, gulping down more Arbor Gold. I would not say that aloud, my lord, Hoster warned him cautiously. It was only recently that we fought on opposite sides in a war. Edmure and Lady Layla's betrothal is only a mere step towards reinstating peace in the Seven Kingdoms, like how Lord Stark wedded Lady Ashura. Yes, yes. I am not a child, Lord Tully. Lord Lytton had clearly drank too much wine and the feast was not over yet. Peace. That is what we want. He waved his hand and a servant hurriedly refilled his cup. Have you tried these lemon cakes, Lord Hightower? Hoster pushed a plate of lemon cakes towards him. Over the years, he had developed a sweet tooth and a fondness for lemon cakes. It was Minissa's favorite, he reminisced. She craved them when she was pregnant with little Cat, and Lysa. Lemon cakes are Lysa's favorite snack as well. Earlier that day, he caught sight of Lysa chewing a lemon cake with another two on her plate. Once, he would chide her, he could not bear reprimanding her anymore. Lytton Hightower chuckled. You clearly have not tasted the lemon cakes at Highgarden, Lord Tully. The Queen of Thorns herself appreciates them not as much as her love for cheese, of course. She is one cunning woman, that Lady Olenna. With a sharp tongue and wicked wit as quick as lightning. He chortled, scoffing down his second lemon cake. Before you can even speak, she will have you knocked down speechless. You should meet the Lady Olenna one day, Lord Tully. He reached for a fruit tart in front of him. Apricot. This must be the Tyrell's gift to the king. The Tyrells gifted the king and queen with over a dozen carts of fruit and 2 white steeds with golden bridles. You have a fine memory, my lord. They received the gifts earlier today, Lord Hightower. It isn't exactly difficult to remember them. Hoster himself had bequeathed Robert and Caitlin with a set of lacquer brown bows and 2 quivers filled with a score of goose-feather-fletched arrows each. Cat had never hunted, but Robert did. I will use this bow in the next royal hunt. Robert had declared exuberantly. I have never been gifted with a bow with such brilliant color and grip. He had said that after the disgraced Daenerys presented him with a fine crossbow. It seems my lady wife is bored, remarked Lytton, wiping his mouth with a linen cloth and standing up. I must remedy that with a dance. Lord Tully. He nodded at Hoster. I am relieved we concluded our alliance so quickly. We will speak again tomorrow, yes. Again, congratulations on your daughter's wedding to the king. He smiled and headed off to find his disinterested wife, the Lady Rhea Florent. Lady Rhea was Lytton's 4th wife. My lord, Lord Free wishes to speak to you. Hoster snorted. The late Lord Free. It was astonishing the old and repulsive Walder Free, Lord of the Crossing, could manage to travel to King's Landing without dying on the way. Isn't Lord Walder Free confined to a chair? By the 7. Old Free was a man of 30 when he himself was born. Hoster sighed wearily. Oh, very well. Old Free probably wants to wed one of his daughters or granddaughters to Ed Muir, again. Out of respect for Lord Walder's old age and frailness, Hoster headed to the trestle table occupied by his bannermen and their families. Half of them were weasel-faced Freys. Lord Tully, said Walder Free, grinning like a weasel when he saw Hoster. He turned to the Free beside him, his heir, and barked. Move. Lord Tully needs a seat. The Free Knight scrambled to his feet, spilling wine on his grey linen tunic emblazoned with the 2 blue towers of Free. Fool, Lord Free grumbled. He gave Hoster a toothless smirk. Please sit, Lord Tully. Giving him a suspicious look, Hoster sat down, careful not to touch the spilled wine. A servant said you wished to speak to me, he said stiffly. I am here. What do you want to talk to me about? Very blunt, are you not? Hey. Old Walder glugged down half a cup of wine as red as blood. He licked his lips with his small and pink bud of a tongue. Hoster suppressed a shudder. Hey, Walder Free said again, his thin, wrinkly fingers snatching the biscuit at the top of a mountain of sweet biscuits. Hoster wondered how Walder would eat it with his meager number of remaining teeth. My wife gifted me with another red-faced, squalling bundle of joy last week, he said, his other hand grabbing his wine cup. A girl this time. Named Roslyn. Only a few hours later, my wife died. Hey. The Maester said she died from complications in childbirth. Hey. What can you expect from a Rosby? My condolences on your wife's death. Hey. The old weasel eyed him with distrust for a minute before glancing away, satisfied with Hoster's genuine response. What am I to do with another daughter, he continued grumpily. I already have a good many daughters and granddaughters, good daughters and good granddaughters. Ed Muir is already affianced, Hoster interrupted brusquely. Walder Free narrowed his eyes. Eh? He scoffed. A noblewoman of a great house, no doubt, Lord Tully. Lady Layla Hightower. Hey. Well, I have 2 daughters around his age, Moria and Tita. Walder nodded at 2 surprisingly comely girls sitting a few seats away from him. Why not allow Sir Ed Muir to decide for himself, he suggested. My daughters are fair to look upon and virtuous. Hey. Noticing his doubtful expression, Old Free snapped. Their mother was a Blackwood. Hey. You arrived after the Battle of the Trident was won, you ignored a dozen of my summons, and you are downright unpleasant. As long as I live, no Tully will wed one of your offspring. Hoster pondered if the late Lord Walder Free's greatest achievement was wedding his second son Sir Iman, to Lady Jenna Lannister, a shapely woman with a shrewd mind. At one stage Hoster's father had thought to wed Hoster to Lady Jenna, but for once, Walder Free was first to suggest the match of Iman Free and Jenna Lannister. Peace with our enemies is most vital at the moment, Hoster said carefully. Despite being infirm and old, Lord Walder was still as prickly as a bush of thorns. We must have peace with our once enemies, he said again, and what better way than through marriage? We fought against the Hightowers, a Tully of Riverrun and a Hightower of Old Town wed in matrimony will be better for the good of the Riverlands than a Tully and a Free of the Crossing. Herr huffed Walder Free. I heard the Blackfish will a knight of King Robert's Kingsguard. Hey. He will be in need of squires and pages, will he not? My sons Jarmos and Waylon are of age to be squires. Perhaps the Blackfish will be good enough to take them on. You will have to ask the Blackfish yourself. He was tempted to finish his sentence with a hey. He thought it prudent not to mention the Blackfish had already conceded to Squire Vance. Then again, blind Norbert Vance was a good friend of the Blackfishers during their youth, and he may have agreed to squire one of blind Norbert's younger sons as a personal favor. Before old Walder Free could respond, Robert boomed drunkenly. Time for the bedding. A large number of lords roared approvingly in response and moved like a tide towards a giggling Caitlin. Simultaneously, the ladies swarmed Robert like locusts. The lords and ladies lifted the king and queen and headed to their chamber, laughing and mentioning bawdy japes whilst stripping Robert and Cat of their clothes. You, The king will enjoy her very much, snickered Lord Walder, forgetting for a moment he was speaking to Hoster. A pair of fine teats, hey? Ned stared vaguely at the intricately carved tester as he bathed in the early rays of sunlight. It was too late to try and return to the realm of dreams, but too early to rise and prepare himself for the day. He felt Ashura shift beside him. "What is it?" she said sleepily. "How does she know I am awake?" "The Targaryens," said Ned softly. "Did I make the honorable decision?" With a muffled groan, Ashura felt around, grabbed a silky pillow and slammed it in his face. "Go to sleep," she ordered with a yawn. "What is done, is done. You showed Robert the boy's body, the baby's on her way to Winterfell, and as far as Robert and the other lords are concerned, the Targaryens are no more. Go to sleep, Ned. You need your strength for your first small council meeting." She snuggled closer to him. "Think about our future children," she whispered groggily. "Would that not make a more pleasant dream than the Targaryens?" She drifted back to sleep easily. Ned did not. The Targaryen infant was named Daenerys, Ashura's idea, and under Lord Howland's care, was on her way to Winterfell under the name Sand. Ashura and he had agreed to pass the child off as her brother Lord Dane's bastard. With her strands of silver blonde hair and purple eyes, the people would suspect her less as a Targaryen once she was acknowledged as a Dane's bastard. After all, stony Dornishmen like the Danes resembled those of Andal and First Men blood, and the Danes luckily share the traits of violet eyes. What was even more fortuitous was that certain Danes such as their cadet branch from High Hermitage also happened to have silver hair. Perhaps his marriage to Lady Ashura Dane carried more advantages than he thought, mayhaps both the old gods and new entwined it in his destiny, he did not care. Daenerys was born a Targaryen and named a Sand, but she will be raised a Stark. As for Viserys, Ned tried to think of something else. Think of your future sons and daughters. Think of your future children. He closed his eyes and pictured a lad around 8 run towards him, his purple eyes shining as brightly as the stars as he crowed in triumph after his first victory in shooting a bullseye, another boy trailing behind him, his grey eyes glazed with wonder as he was presented his first horse, a little girl as pretty as her mother with cascading dark hair and violet eyes singing the songs of summer, perhaps another daughter with more of a Stark look, a long face and grey eyes with a flickering flame of wildness. Oh, he would love a daughter as wolf-blooded as Brandon and Lyanna. He wondered how Ashura would react to a wild daughter with no desire to be like a Southron lady. He chuckled silently. Ashura was not exactly a demure lady herself. Ned slipped in and out of light dreams as swiftly as one would change tunics on a hot summer's day. He was back in the Eyrie, no, now he was in Winterfell's Godswood, soothing a crying babe. Robert was announcing something, a fair maiden with purple eyes was speaking to him in a foreign tongue, a northern boy swooped towards him on the back of a dragon. The great creature opened its mouth and he was engulfed in hungry flames. Underscore 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 underscore. Ned. Ned grunted as he felt someone shake his shoulders. Ned. He opened a tired eye. Ned. He scrambled up, looking around wildly. He paused when he heard Ashura cackle with laughter. "That is not funny, lady wife," Ned said with mock severity. "Do you wish to kill your husband with fright?" Ashura shrugged, a smirk hovering on her lips. "If I loathe my husband I might. However, the gods have blessed me with a kind husband. You better wake up if you want a spot of breakfast. I had the maid fetch us bowls of porridge, pots of honey, flagons of milk, boiled eggs and a plate of crisp fried fish. She should be arriving at any minute." Ned nodded and went to open his chest. As it was his first council session, he must look presentable as the new master of laws. It would not do to show up in old boiled leather or a comfortable, yet shabby tunic. With a sigh, he reached for his usual set of clothes, dark trousers, a quilted tunic sewn on the breast with the white escutcheon embossed with a running grey direwolf, and a pair of dark, high boots. He nodded to himself. Very comfortable. After a swift change of clothes, Ned joined Ashura for breakfast. He absently drizzled a spoonful of golden honey onto his porridge and took a sip of cold milk. As he bit into a crisp fried fish, he felt ill. Every time a Stark goes south, he never returns, he thought worriedly. Here I am, in the center of a snake pit. Back home, it is much simpler, hard, blunt truth compared to Southron charades. Robert will never permit me to return to Winterfell now. I should not have involved myself with those Targaryens. Did you read the letter from your brother? Ashura broke the silence. Ned nodded, smiling. Benjen is well. Our father's maester had died and his replacement arrived safely at Winterfell. Lewin, I think his name is. Maester Lewin. According to Benjen, Maester Lewin had even earned his Valyrian steel link. Not many acolytes study magic and the occult these days. Benjen cannot praise Maester Lewin enough. He is a patient listener and gives helpful advice, according to this letter. I hope to see him one day when we go to Winterfell. If we ever leave for Winterfell. He was hit with a pang of regret. If it wasn't for his blasted honor, he would be on his way home with Ashura. Has he chosen a northern bride yet? Ned shook his head. In his letter, he stated that he was considering joining the Night's Watch. Why would he? He felt a wave of sorrow rather than anger. I need my brother. There must always be a Stark at Winterfell. You are yet to be with Child and Ben, he is the only other Stark left. Before Lyanna's abduction, there were many Starks, now, only Ned and Benjen. Ashura patted his hand. We will have children, she vowed. Soon, Winterfell will be filled with a litter of children. Ned smiled a little. Benjen is still thinking of joining, Ashura continued. He is still young and the thought of marriage and sowing children may not have occurred to him. It might soon enough. Home. What will you do today? Ned changed the subject. I will be trapped in a long day of arguing with other lords. What about you? I suppose I will join the Queen's entourage of ladies and spend the day with gossiping ladies and hours of sewing. Ned chuckled as Ashura rolled her eyes. You are a high-born lady. Surely a few hours of sewing is harmless. It is boring. I spent most of my life running my brother's household in Starfall and now I am here, without a household to run. My good sister had decided to devote most of her time in Sunspear rather than in Starfall. At first, I despised her for burdening me with the task of running a household, but later, I actually enjoyed it. Reviewing figures, arranging feasts for the rare guests, chatting to the cook and the master of horse, I enjoyed every moment of it. What am I to do but sew in the Queen's company? I look forward to converse with Queen Caitlin, but there must be something else for me to do apart from sewing. Her lowly opinion of sewing reminded Ned more and more of Lyanna. I must go, said Ned regretfully, swigging down the rest of his cup of milk and standing up. He hesitantly kissed Ashura on the cheek before rushing out, hoping he was not late. He strode into the council chamber, relieved when he saw only Stannis there, gazing at a carved screen from the Summerisles placed in a corner of the room. Lord Stannis, said Ned pleasantly. Stannis Baratheon turned stiffly and nodded. Lord Stark, he returned. I was beginning to wonder if His Grace made a jape regarding the small council meeting early in the morning. Did you just arrive, Lord Stannis? No, I sat here for at least 20 minutes. He grinded his teeth. At least His Grace chose his Master of Laws wisely, he remarked, his dark blue eyes gazing at Ned expressionlessly. If you had not agreed, he would have most likely given that position to Tywin Lannister or that fat Tyrell. Stannis's lips drastically tightened as he spat his last words as if it was poison. Yes, well, said Ned uncomfortably, I am the Master of Laws now. HMMPH. I hope thievery and rape will cease once you implement a number of good, strong laws with His Grace's permission. I do too. Ah, I see I am not the first to arrive. The eunuch glided in, rubbing his soft, powdered hands together. Today, he had decided to wear rich damask robes of saffron yellow embroidered with swirls of green. Lord Stannis, Lord Stark, he said, with an enigmatic smile. Both of you are well, I hope. Ned nodded cautiously. I hope you are well too, Lord Varys. Varys chuckled softly. I slept quite well, Lord Stark, particularly with the notion you are our Master of Laws and no lord can break your friendship with our good King Robert. Why should you care about Lord Stark's friendship with His Grace? Stannis looked at him suspiciously. I value nothing but peace, Lord Stannis. Varys spread his hands. Peace in the realm is all I desire. What of yourself, Lord Stannis? Perhaps, further praise for your valiant efforts in his war. The king's brotherly affection even. He smiled mysteriously as Stannis scowled viciously. And you, Lord Stark? Varys' wily eyes glanced back at Ned. What do you crave the most? He studied him for a moment. Mayhaps, an opportunity to return home to Winterfell. He grinned as Ned's mouth dropped open with astonishment. Ned scrambled to his seat and tried to occupy himself by studying the pair of Valyrian sphinxes flanking the door, their eyes of polished garnet smoldering in black marble faces. After what felt like a couple of hours, the other appointed counselors finally appeared. The ancient Grand Maester Pycelle shuffled in, his heavy maester's chains clinking quietly as he sat down on a tall chair at the foot of the table. He stroked his long snowy beard that ran down to his chest with his wiry fingers as he mumbled softly to himself. Following him was the king's hand, Jon Arryn, who gave Ned a firm nod before seating himself on the chair at the right of the head of the table. Lastly, Robert himself stomped to his chair, Sir Barristan Selmy moving behind him like his silent shadow. Robert silenced the murmurs of your grace and grunted. Let's get on with this, now shall we, before reaching for his wine cup. Certainly, your grace, said Jon calmly. All you are missing is a master of the coin. Have you selected one of yet, your grace? Find a Lannister to fill the post, grumbled Robert. What do they say? Tywin Lannister shitscold. Lord Tywin may be offended by the position of Master of the Coin, Varys interjected. He was the king's hand during the reign of the Mad King, and to be given the seat of the Master of the Coin, he will not be pleased. I agreed, Stannis. Lord Tywin is not a man you wish to anger. Speaking of Lannisters, started Ned. No, snapped Robert. Sir Jaime Lannister will not be beheaded or sent to the fucking wall. He drained his cup of wine. Perhaps release him from his vows instead, proposed Varys. It will punish him for killing the Mad King and placate Lord Tywin. He always desired his son to be released from his Kingsguard vows. No, said Sir Barristan, Ned and surprisingly Stannis, in unison. King Robert raised an eyebrow. A knight of the Kingsguard is sworn in for life, protested Sir Barristan. Sir Jaime Lannister cannot be released from his vows. He may have slew the Mad King, but he is still part of the Kingsguard. He swore a vow, Ned pointed out. Stannis gave a rigid nod. Your Grace, if you release him from his Kingsguard duties, you are allowing him to get away with the crime of kingslaying. Besides, would it not be more useful if you keep Sir Jaime close to you in case Tywin Lannister decides to rebel against you? I'd rather Sir Jaime Lannister remain a knight of the Kingsguard than the heir of Casterly Rock. He certainly does not deserve either option. What about Sir Kevan Lannister, Lord Tywin's brother, suggested Jon, who had been silently in thought for the last minute. He is a man Lord Tywin trusts, and is a Lannister. Fine, said Robert carelessly. Send a letter to Tywin or tell him in person. I hope to hear nothing but good news from the Master of the Coin soon. Now that the matter is sorted, what next? The Kingsguard, Barristan the Bold said at once. Currently there are only 2 members, Sir Jaime and myself. For your protection, your Grace, the other 5 spots must be filled. Robert looked around at Ned and the other councillors. Any suggestions? Any good recommendations at all? Sir Balon Swan grunted. Stannis. He is good with a lance, but better with a morning star and an exceptional fighter with a bow. Sir Barristan, have you met or heard of him before? Both of you are from the Stormlands. Barristan the Bold nodded approvingly. I, Lord Stannis. I squired for his cousin Sir Manfred Swan in my youth. I also happened to rescue Lady Jane Swan and her scepter from the Kingswood Brotherhood 2 years ago. Sir Balon will make a fine addition to the Kingsguard. What about Aris O'Kurt? Jon Arryn put forward. He is courteous and a fair swordsman. He is a Reachman too. It will certainly appease the Reachmen for one of their own to be chosen as a knight of the Kingsguard. One of my men, Sir Mandon Moore, he is an extremely skilled warrior and will be a fine asset to the Kingsguard, I can assure you of that. Why not Sir Lyle Crickehall? Varys suggested, rubbing his hands again. I heard he is a good fighter, but his greatest quality is his strength. He is not called the Strongbow for naught. He chuckled quietly. Sir Barristan, has the Blackfish responded to your offer yet? If I may be bold, he tittered, he is as famous as you and the Kingsguard needs another prominent war hero. The White Bull, the sword in the morning, Sir Barristan the Bold, the Kingslayer. He giggle again. Well, now only Sir Barristan the Bold and the Kingslayer are alive and part of his Grace's Kingsguard. Why not the Blackfish? Ladies will swoon over songs of his valor as a Kingsguard knight. The Blackfish in white. An amusing sight, no doubt about that. That will do for now, decided Robert, clearly bored of the discussion. Sir Barristan, you will meet the knights mentioned and decide for yourself if they deserve the honor of being part of my Kingsguard. Ned. How do you find your married life? Do you find your wife pleasing? Robert. Another 4 pairs of eyes swiveled to Ned. I. Said Ned, taken back. I don't think that is a fitting topic of discussion, Your Grace. Nonsense. Robert snickered. Will there be a brood of little Starks trailing behind you in the future? I hear Dornish women are like bitches on heat when it comes to fucking. All the other councillors flushed red. She. Ned swallowed. She, I. Robert roared with laughter. Lord Ned Stark lost for words. Ha. He drank more wine and chortled. What of the Tyrells? Asked Stannis, unamused. The Red Wines are sworn to them. The Red Wine fleet is powerful enough to challenge the royal fleet. Appease them with a royal marriage, advised Jon wisely. Your Grace, even thought the Tyrells have bent the knee, they are still an influential house, too powerful to ignore. Your Grace, you have a younger brother, Lord Renly. Lord Tyrell has an infant daughter, as does Lord Redwine. Offer a betrothal between Lord Renly and either the Tyrell girl or Redwine babe. It will tell them your Grace is keen on peace between the Iron Throne and the Reach, yet they were your former foes, hence no royal marriage between a highborn lady of the Reach and any of your future sons. Ned nodded in agreement. Lord Tyrell should be grateful at the prospect of being good father to his Grace's brother. Not that he deserves it. Very well, said Robert, who looked as if he was itching to move. Jon, write a letter to Lord Tyrell with terms. I know I can trust you with the details of Renly's betrothal with Tyrell's infant daughter. Now that smooths relations with the goddamn Reach, what of the Greyjoys and Lannisters? Those fucking Greyjoys will never agree to peace through marriage. Maybe accept one as part of the Kingsguard, suggested Sir Barristan. Robert snorted. He will axe me in the back and be the new Kingslayer. Those Ironborn cannot be trusted. Offer marriage anyway. Jon pressed quizzically. Lord Varys, Balon Greyjoy has a daughter, does he not? Why not wed her to Lord Stannis? Balon Greyjoy's good brother, Lord Roderick Harlaw, is an ardent reader. He will advocate the idea of peace to Lord Greyjoy. The king barked with laughter as Stannis's already tightened lips stiffened. A stag and a kraken in bed together, he sniggered. Well. Brother, do you have it in you to fuck a kraken? Leave them be, Ned said swiftly, before Stannis could respond. There have been no word of discontentment from the Iron Islands, best we do nothing. Lord Balon Greyjoy is, from what I heard, a stubborn and quarrelsome man. He may think a match between his only daughter and Lord Stannis as a way of his Grace exerting more power over the Ironborn, something Balon will not take well at all. I suggest we leave the Ironborn alone, for now. Robert nodded. Very well. He rose and cracked his knuckles. There is still time for a hunt, he declared. Stannis. Will you join me this time? Perhaps you will find another injured goshawk to nurse. He guffawed, sauntering out of the council chamber with Sir Barristan striding behind him. Jon Arryn stood up and said to Ned, I am pleased you agreed to be Robert's Master of Laws. There is no other man suited to that position than you. I hope to speak to you again before I leave for Dorne. Perhaps Lord Tully will invite you to my wedding with Lady Lysa Tully. He smiled and exited, no doubt to write the many letters Robert had instructed him to inscribe. Stannis nodded at Ned and wordlessly left, followed shortly by Pycelle, who muttered good day to Ned and shuffled out, leaving Ned alone with Varys. I still have not thanked you yet, Lord Varys said Ned hesitantly. If it was. No need, my Lord Stark, the eunuch cut through smoothly. As I said before, I value nothing more than peace in the Seven Kingdoms. How can the slightest bit of peace be achieved if you and the king are enemies? The North and the South must be unified, and what better than your friendship with his Grace? I did what had to be done for the good of the realm. He smiled at Ned. Your honor had prevented you from committing a heinous atrocity, and I found the means to cure that predicament. No thanks is needed, Lord Stark. Where did you find? Do not worry about it, Lord Stark. What is done is done. Your honor is still unsullied and no one will ever find out. It will be. He paused. Our little secret, eh, Lord Stark? Where did you take him? Varys smiled apologetically. I'm afraid I cannot tell you that, Lord Stark. It will be in your best interests to forget all about it. The more you think of it, the more it will eat you alive. He placed his powdered hand on Ned's arm. Go and dream of your future with Lady Stark, the eunuch advised. The longer you dwell in the past, the easier picking you will be. Ever since she was a child in Riverrun, Catelyn had never deluded herself with the thought of a perfect married life, particularly as the lady wife of a notorious drinker and philanderer. A few months since her wedding had flew past and Catelyn was relieved she never held any illusions of being Robert's queen. He was still courteous to her, he dined with her every day and asked politely about her health, no doubt hoping she would announce the news of pregnancy one day, at every supper. As the end of the year neared, Catelyn fervently hoped she could gift Robert with the news of pregnancy soon. Could I possibly be carrying his child now? My moon blood has not come yet, it's been 2 months. She frowned as she recalled Cersei Lannister hint loudly to the other ladies about the late Lady Tully's troubles in childbirth. If her father was not Tywin Lannister, Lord of Casterly Rock, Shield of Lannisport and Warden of the West, Catelyn would have banished her from court already. Apart from breakfast and supper, the only other time Robert Baratheon would consistently spend time with her was at night when he would pump his seed into her before rolling over and snoring like a pig. Catelyn never complained. Family, duty, honor. The Tully words echoed in Catelyn's mind even now she was a Baratheon. For the rest of her days, she spent it either in her chambers or in the library or the gardens with her gaggle of ladies. As queen, she was entitled to a large number of them from noble families. Catelyn was not blind to all the gossiping and whispering that cropped up around her, and she chose only her sister Lysa, now Lady Arryn, and Lady Ashura Stark as her closest confidants. She had yet to meet Edmure's betrothed, Lady Layla Hightower, but she did have Lady Aeleri in her company. Despite being a Tyrell by marriage, Lady Aeleri was more than happy to entertain Lysa and Catelyn with stories about her sister Layla during their childhood. Layla is such a sweet girl, Your Grace, Aeleri had once said, always kind to everyone and quite talented at singing and playing the high harp. Is Sir Edmure fond of music, Your Grace? Edmure dislikes music. Lady Layla will bring beautiful music to Riverrun, said Catelyn graciously. Sir Edmure will greatly appreciate it, as will our father. Our father loves music. He oft said it reminded him of my late mother. She liked Aeleri Hightower and enjoyed hearing her stories about her childhood, some of which reminded Catelyn of her own girlhood in Riverrun. Other than Lady Aeleri, Lysa and Ashura, Catelyn's ladies ranged from nobles from the Riverlands to highborn girls of the Reach. She learned that Northerners tended to stay home in the cold north, whilst the Dornish, still holding a grudge apart from Lady Ashura Stark, preferred to stay away from King's Landing. As a daughter of the Riverlands, Catelyn felt more comfortable with the daughters, sisters and wives of her father's bannermen, such as Lord Jon Osbraken's wife, Lady Bracken, as opposed to the Stokeworths and Cersei Lannister. However, as queen, Catelyn knew it was her duty to converse with all her ladies rather than show obvious favoritism. Your Grace, her uncle Brynden the Blackfish, appeared at her side. The king has requested to dine with you at supper tonight. Catelyn nodded. I sup with him every night. Your good brother Lord Stannis will join you tonight. Flabbergasted, Catelyn accidentally pricked her finger with her needle. Lord Stannis Baratheon wishes to dine with us, she repeated. Uncle Brynden nodded, shifting uncomfortably in his intricate Kingsguard suit of white enameled scales. His snow-white cloak clasped at his throat with a blackfish brooch billowed around him as he stood beside her. The king wishes for a family gathering, he added helpfully. As Lord Stannis has no wife and Lord Renly is still in Storm's End, it will only be the three of you dining tonight. She looked at him strangely. Very well, she said, slightly curious now. I will go as usual. Thank you, uncle. The blackfish opened his mouth as if to say more, but he closed it and stepped back in the shadows. For her protection, Robert had assigned Uncle Brynden to guard her and be her sworn shield. Caitlin turned to Lysa. How do you find your marriage, sister? Lysa pouted, ignoring the stares and whispers from the other ladies. I hoped John would stay in Dawn, she said flatly and childishly, her once sparkling blue eyes now dull. He is not a good husband to me. All he cares about is the king, running the kingdom, and if I am with child. I am nothing but a broodmare. She scowled. Does your husband caress you with kisses? She said longingly. Does he love you like the princes do to maidens in the songs? I wish I can say yes, Lysa, another time, she said gently, noticing Circe stare at her from across the room. When we visit Riverrun again, I will tell you all, she promised. I will tell you how Robert loves me a lie. And cares for me. If Lord Arryn frightens you, I will protect you. Uncle Brynden can protect you too. You are safe, Lysa, and Lord Arryn does not think of you as a broodmare. Your Grace, ventured Ashura. Lysa shot her a murderous glare. May I have a word with you, Your Grace? Caitlin nodded and stood up. Lady Stark and I will be going for a walk, she announced. I will call you again if I request company. She smiled and left with Ashura, Uncle Brynden following them silently. It seemed like you wanted a word with me in private, Caitlin told Ashura as they headed to the Red Keep Godswood. A large acre of elm, alder and black cottonwood trees, the Godswood overlooked the Blackwater Rush, one of the major rivers in West Eos. As there were no weirwood, the heart tree in the Red Keep Godswood was a great oak, its limbs overgrown and tangled with smokeberry vines. I am grateful, Your Grace, answered Ashura. Please, no more, Your Grace. Call me Caitlin. As you wish, Caitlin. Caitlin smiled. What is it you wish to speak to me about? Ned, said Ashura promptly. He is unhappy here. The king is pleased his good friend is here as his master of laws, but Ned does not find the Red Keep his home. His Grace will never permit him to leave. I am here as a wife to plead for you to convince your husband to allow him to leave for Winterfell. Lady Stark, I have no power over my husband. He does as he pleases and I never speak to him of politics. This is not about politics, my queen. This is about a wife pleading for her lord husband to be released from his duties here in King's Landing. Caitlin sighed. Lady Stark, your husband is one of the few men capable to be the master of laws. With him enforcing the laws, rape and thievery had already ceased significantly. Can you think of another competent enough to be master of laws if Lord Stark leaves for Winterfell? Your Lord Father? No. If I suggest that to Robert, the other courtiers will think I try to influence him to increase my family's power and position. I cannot propose the Master of Laws to be any lord from the Riverlands. She looked intently at Ashura. Do you have any names I can pass along to the king? Perhaps a lord from the Crown Lands. Mayhaps my husband will be happy to provide a name or two for his successor. Is there another reason for your plea? I doubt Robert will allow you and Lord Stark to return to Winterfell on the grounds of unhappiness here. Ashura quietened and said softly. I am with child. Underscore 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 underscore. Caitlin poked her portion of trout cooked in a crust of crushed almonds with a knife as her good brother Stannis droned on about the growth of the royal fleet and the need for experienced sailors. Sensing her boredom, or perhaps his own, Robert interrupted him. Enough, Stannis. Talk to Jon about it. My lady wife is tired of hearing your complaints. Stannis grunted and speared a slice of smoked duck breast with his dagger. He mercilessly drowned it in a bowl of creamy chestnut soup and gnawed at it as a servant refilled his lemon water. Robert had told Caitlin one time that Stannis was the only man he knew who disdained good wine. When will Renly join the court? Said Caitlin, hoping to lighten the brooding mood. She had not met her youngest good brother, more of a nephew or son by the sounds of it, yet, and was keen to. Rumor was Renly looked like a younger Robert in his childhood. When he reaches manhood, answered Stannis flatly. He is still a child, thus he will remain in Storm's End under the care of Sir Courtenay Penrose, whom I've appointed as Castellan. However, Renly may visit court a few days a year when we celebrate Robert's name days. Stannis Japes, declared Robert, with a chortle. Only a fool stays away from court. Renly will arrive here when it is safe for him to travel, most likely at the beginning of next year. Stannis stared at him. Court will be a distraction to him. Bah! If I leave Renly at Storm's End, he'll turn out like you, and that is the last thing we need, eh? Cat, can you imagine another little Stannis? Father will not thank me if I allow my little brother to be the same as you, a solemn, grim man who does not know how to smile. Our brother. Renly is mine brother as much as he is yours. Robert snorted, wine spraying from his mouth. Stannis shook his head with disgust and edged away from the droplet of wine that landed beside his lemon water. Renly will come to court, Robert repeated. He is the brother of the king, not the brother of a lord. Renly will be raised a courtier here. Would you rather he die of boredom at Storm's End? Besides, are you not the Lord of Storm's End, Stannis? It should be you dwelling in Storm's End, not Renly. Would you prefer if I give the lordship to Renly instead? Stannis grinded his teeth so loudly Catelyn was certain Sir Barristan Selmy and Uncle Brynden could hear it, from outside. Lord husband, said Catelyn quickly. How was your day? Eh? Robert glanced at her and grinned eagerly. Ah, it was a fine day. I left Jon to rule the Seven Kingdoms. He is good at that, clever Jon, and went on a hunt in the Kingswood from dawn. You should see the pelts and stuffed animal heads, Cat. He paused thoughtfully. I will gift you with wolf pelts and fox fur in the coming winter, he said generously. Do you hunt, my lady? Catelyn shook her head. My father feared bandits would abduct me or Lysa in the woods. At times, some of my father's bannermen would go hunting and gift me and Lysa with pelts to garner favor with our father. Have you held a crossbow before, Cat? No, Lord husband. The only weapon I was allowed to hold was a dagger. Robert roared with laughter. Now wasn't he protective, old hoster? Millimeter, you should come with me on my next hunt. I insist. Very well. Family, duty, honor. Think the Tully words. How can I tell him I loathe the idea of killing animals for sport? I hope Robert does not expect me to accompany him in every hunt. Stannis looked at her. Will you not feel ill, my lady, he said bluntly. Will the sight of blood and dead deer make you feel ill? Ignore him, Robert advised Catelyn. He does not believe women should hold crossbows and hunt. He snorted. Cat, do you remember that short, stout northern woman from our wedding? The one who was rumored to have fucked a bear. Ned told me she hunts as well as any man. If she ever comes back here, I look forward to hunt with her. It will surely be a challenge. No man here is brave or bold enough to put up a challenge. He shook his head forlornly. A bunch of fools, Cat. A bunch of fools. They are afraid of accidentally injuring you, my lord. Her husband chuckled. More like afraid of my wrath, Cat. He shook his head again. Utter fools. Catelyn smiled weakly and sipped her goblet of Arbor Gold. It was only her second glass today, she felt slightly woozy already. How can Robert consume so much wine? It is odd. There is peace throughout the Seven Kingdoms now, she said hopefully. I heard Lord Arryn was successful in Dorne. Barely muttered Stannis. Robert ignored him. All is well, he said to her with the utmost confidence. Ned Stark holds the north and he is a brother to me. He will never betray me. Your father precedes over the Riverlands and he is my good father. He will never turn from his family, eh? Jon Arryn is my foster father and my hand, as well as your good brother. The Vale harbors nothing but peace. The fat flower of Highgarden bent the knee at the end of the war and his daughter will be betrothed to Renly. There will be no trouble from him. Then there is Tywin Lannister, his brother is the master of the coin and his son is still part of the Kingsguard. Will that not be enough for him? Dorne may despise me, but they do not have enough power to rebel against me, or so Jon assures me. As for the Iron Islands, if they dare lift a single finger as a sign of war, Stannis here, as the master of ships, will force them to their knees. That is good to hear. She delicately picked up a small slice of blackberry cake with her long fingers and nibbled it. The meals at King's Landing were oft quite filling, but she always left room for either a sweet biscuit, a lemon cake or any other type of cake or sweets. Lord Paxter Redwyne has arrived this morning with his twin sons as you have ordered, Stannis informed Robert. Both boys seem to be no older than 3, too young to be pages. However, you must keep one or both of them here in case Lord Redwine decides to rebel against you. Even with the Fat Flower's infant daughter affianced to Renly, betrothals can be broken, and both Redwine and Randil Tali of Hornhill are his sworn bannermen. Redwine controls the most powerful fleet in Westeros, and Tali is a formidable commander, certainly more competent than the Fat Flower himself. "Do you ever stop?" said Robert wearily. "Every day, it's politics, politics, more politics with you. If you are not rambling about politics, you are complaining. Go to a brothel and fuck a wench." Stannis reddened. "I rather not," he said stiffly. "Of course." Robert leaned towards him. "Do you even know how to fuck a woman, Stannis?" "My lord," said Catelyn, blushing. "That is an inappropriate topic of discussion when we sup, Lord Husband." Robert smirked and drank even more wine. "Very well, Cat. How did you find your day? Full of gossip and sewing, I presume." "Most of it, yes," affirmed Catelyn. "However, I did speak to Lady Stark." "Oh. How is she finding King's Landing?" "Different from her life in Starfall. She wishes for me to plea on her behalf." "Really?" He looked at her with interest. "What may she possibly wish you to plea about?" "If she wants to return to Dorne, very well. She can leave court when she pleases." "Will that be all?" "It is to do with Ned." "Oh. Ned Stark is unhappy here. Lady Stark tells me he yearns to return home." "He already served you 4 months, let him leave for Winterfell." "Cat, once Ned leaves for Winterfell, he will never come back. As the Master of Laws, rape and thievery has lessened more in these months than in, I don't know, the entire reign of the Mad King. What am I to do without Ned? He is like a brother to me." "He thinks you a brother to him too, Lord Husband, and brothers will never abandon each other in times of need. Ned Stark fought for you and serves you. He serves you still. Allow him to go home and he will be grateful to you. As you said a countless number of times, Lord Husband, you view Ned Stark as one of your brothers. Will you force a brother to stay someplace he despises and keep him from home?" "Please say nothing, Stannis. Please say nothing. What will the Northern Lords say?" Catelyn continued softly. "They will grumble about the king who kept their liege lord away from them. Ned Stark is not only your Master of Laws, but also your Warden of the North. The Northerners have not seen their liege lord in months. Give them the satisfactory of allowing Ned Stark to return to Winterfell for a year or 2. You can always summon him back." Robert frowned slightly. "He is more useful here. What can he possibly do in the north?" "Sort out land disputes." "There is one other matter," Catelyn went on. "Would you deny the pleas of a pregnant woman? Or should I say, pregnant women? Underscore 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 underscore. Swaying beneath the heart tree, Catelyn waited for Lord Stark to appear. She smiled to herself as she touched her growing belly. After her talk with Ashura, she had consulted Grand Maester Pycelle and discovered she too was in the early months of pregnancy. Robert was thrilled at the news of her pregnancy, of course, but she suspected he was even more pleased that she and Ashura were both with child at the same time. "Once both of us give birth, Robert will propose to unite our houses." He still reminisced about Lyanna Stark and desired more than anything, with the exception of wine and wenching, to join houses Baratheon and Stark together in marriage. "Your Grace. You summoned me." Catelyn smiled and nodded. "Lord Stark." Slightly less solemn than Stannis, Lord Stark emerged in the Godswood. He looked around and asked, "Where is the Blackfish, Your Grace? You should not be out here alone at such a time." "He is over there." She nodded at a figure standing near an elm cottonwood tree. "I wanted a moment of privacy." "I see." Lord Stark's grey eyes darted here and there like the flickering flames of a candle. "What is it you wish to tell me, Your Grace?" "I am with child, Lord Stark." Ned Stark's eyes shone with surprise. Congratulations, Your Grace. Does the king know?" Catelyn nodded. "I told him and Lord Stannis over supper last night. That isn't the point, Lord Stark. I am with child, and so is your lady wife. His expression radiated astonishment and delight. Are you hoping for a son or daughter? She asked, smiling. I don't know, he said in wonder. I am to be a father, your grace. When did my lady wife tell you? Yesterday, Lord Stark, when she requested for me to plead on her behalf for you. She watched his expression morph into one of confusion. She did not tell you about it, did she? I thought as much. Lady Ashura Stark informed me that you desire to return home to Winterfell. That is common knowledge, your grace. Common knowledge or no, I spoke to Robert. She paused and beamed as she noticed him staring at her, alert as a hawk or a dire wolf to its prey. He gallantly decided to agree to the wishes of two pregnant women. She continued, her beam widening. Lord Stark, you may finally return to Winterfell. Exhausted from a month of riding, Ashura wanted nothing more than to sleep on a warm bed. Ned had warned her not to fall asleep while riding. If you sleep now in the cold, you will die, he cautioned. Following her faithfully from dawn, Wyler cheerfully chirped to Ashura from dawn to dusk. Ashura was more than grateful for her company. We're almost there, Ned encouraged, spurring his horse closer to hers. Can you see the walls? Come, Ashura. We are almost there. Ashura had never seen him more happier. As they approached Winterfell, Ashura felt the shadow of the looming granite wall of about 8 feet high. Like spiked heads on the Red Keep's battlements, at least 4 guard turrets rose from the massive walls of Winterfell. The great main gate slowly swung open and a drawbridge crashed down over a wide moat of still water. Ashura reined her horse into a trot and followed Ned, swallowing a gasp as over 30 watch turrets ascended from the overshadowing inner walls no shorter than 100 feet. As they rode through more castle gates, the view of the Great Keep appeared, all the members of Winterfell's household standing in front of the wide doors, dipping their heads with respect. Craning her head, Ashura caught a glimpse of a small grey man in woolly grey robes. He must be Maester Lewyn. Standing beside him was a stouter man with large white whiskers, a sword peeking from his brown furred cloak. Apart from the Maester and the solid man, Ashura could not recognize or differentiate any of the other Northmen there, until she saw a thin man in black fur stride towards them, a broad grin on his face. He had dark hair like Ned's and sharp features, his blue eyes dancing with pleasure. Ned, he called. It has been too long. A wide smile broke on Ned's face. Ben, he greeted back. You look well, little brother. Very well indeed. He dismounted his horse and gave him a tight hug. As they broke apart, Ned led him to Ashura before helping her descend from her own horse. Ashura nodded thanks and smiled politely at the other man as Wyler climbed down from her horse and dutifully cloaked another layer of fox fur over Ashura's shoulders. Ben, said Ned warmly. This is my lady wife, Lady Ashura Stark. Ashura, this is my brother Benjen. Before Ashura could speak to Benjen Stark, Ned whisked her in front of the waiting household. You must be Maester Lewyn, he said to the small grey man. I heard nothing but good words about you. Lord Stark, spoke the Maester, his thin hands clasped together as he dipped his head again. Lady Stark. I hope you will have time to heed my advice during your tenure as Lord and Lady of Winterfell. I certainly will, promised Ned. He looked at the man with the large white whiskers beside him. Ashura, this is Sir Roderick Castle, the Master-at-Arms. The man next to him is his nephew, Jory. He is the captain of Winterfell's household guard. Veon. I hope to hear an excellent report of the stores later. Ashura, Veon Poole is my steward. Over there is the Master of Horse Hullen, the Kennel Master Farlin, the blacksmith Mickon, the cook Gage, the brewer Bath. The woman over there is old Nan and her great-grandson Hodder, the stable boy. We of the north follow the old gods, but as you are of the faith of the Seven, I have asked for a Septon to join the household. He should be here in a few days. Ashura nodded and smiled at the servants and retainers warmly. I will take your horses, milord, milady, the Master of Horse offered, stepping forward. They must be exhausted. Ned nodded. Please resume your duties, he told his household. Lady Stark, Benjen and I will sup privately tonight. If any petitioner arrives, tell them to return tomorrow. Veon, escort Lady Stark's maid Wyler to her quarters, the warmest one if you please. Wyler is Dornish and may find our northern spring a little cold. He took Ashura's hand. It was surprisingly warm. "Come," he said softly. "I will show you your chambers." Leaving Benjen to chat with Maester Lewin, Ned ushered her into the great keep. Upon entering, the coldness in Ashura's bones melted. Like Ned's hand, the great keep was warm. The walls were granite, like those of the inner and outer walls. It was built over natural hot springs, Ned informed her. "Before we left King's Landing, I wrote to Ben, telling him to prepare the warmest chambers for you." He opened the doors. Ashura looked around and smiled. As Ned said, it was warm. A large bed covered with plumped pillows and furs faced an empty hearth surrounded by a mantelpiece carved with twirls, direwolves and stars. Near the corner of the room was her vanity table, fashioned from oak with a matching oaken chair adorned with a grey wolf pelt made into a sort of cushion. Opposite it was a great wardrobe, oak again, and beside the bed was a small oaken table, home to a single stick of candle. "Veon Pool will replace it when needed," Ned said to her. Ashura crossed the room and curiously pulled back the 4 heavy tapestries, opening the 4 high narrow windows. Instantly, a cold gust of wind soared in and sliced her cheek like a Valyrian blade. Ned gently closed the 4 windows. "Are you satisfied with your bedchamber?" he asked. "If you are not, I can always find you more." "It is perfect." Ashura kissed him on the cheek. "But what did you mean by my bedchamber?" "I thought it is our bedchamber now." Ned mumbled something inaudibly. Ashura pulled away. "What?" "It is too warm," he said simply. Ashura stared at him, amazed. "Too warm? Would you rather sleep outside on the beds of snow?" she teased. "There is a letter for you." Ned changed the topic. He reached into his cloak pocket and pulled out a sealed letter. "It is from Starfall. I will be waiting outside if you need me." He kissed her and left. Ashura sat on her new bed and opened the letter, tears threatening to flood her eyes. She had not received a letter from Starfall in months, the last from her castellan informing her of Illyria's blooming health and their brother Lord Dane's brief return. Her hands shaking, Ashura unfolded the letter and read. "Ashura. I have returned to Starfall a few days ago to find you gone. If the castellan had not informed me of your marriage to Eddard Stark of Winterfell, I would have thought you were abducted or murdered. In Sunspear, the people are discontent. All they speak about is the injustice Robert Baratheon had shown, hence I have not heard of your marriage or departure to King's Landing. I hope Lord Stark treats you well, he is said to be an honorable man. If Lord Stark had not wedded you, I would have married you to a Blackmont. Illyria is bonny and sweet, but she misses you greatly. I fear she will grow ill if she discovers you will someday live far away in the north. When will you return to Starfall, even for a short visit? It will not be long before Prince Doran or his castellan of Sunspear recalls me back. The prince probably worries I will impulsively march to King's Landing demanding justice for our brother Arthur's death. He has nothing to worry. Arthur died valiantly in battle as a true knight of the Kingsguard, following his king's Aurora Targaryen's orders till the last. I have already commissioned a portrait of him to be hung with the other swords of the morning in Starfall, and I am taking good care of Dorne. Only the best of my squires are permitted to wipe the blade or even hold it. Once you receive this, please write back, Ashura. I am eager to hear how life as the Lady of Winterfell fares for you. Your brother, the Lord of Starfall." Ashura shook her head and smiled. It was so typical of her brother to have signed with his title rather than his name. Ever since Dorne was bestowed upon Arthur and he was titled the New Sword of the Morning, their elder brother had begun calling himself Lord Dane more than his own name. Before she married Ned, Ashura had considered fostering a few children once Illyria was a little older. Starfall was often more empty of people than full, not a suitable home for a child. She placed the letter beside the candle, making a note to find a box to put the letter and future letters in. She knew Ned would never pry, but at court, Catelyn had a habit of placing letters in a mahogany box carved with fish and stags. It sounded petty and slightly childish, but Ashura too longed for a special box to accommodate her letters. She had won her mother's in Starfall, but in the rushed preparations to King's Landing, she had forgotten to bring it with her. Opening the door, Ashura found Ned speaking to a man, his tunic crested with the Stark sigil. Ned stopped and smiled as he saw her. "Ashura, this is Desmond, one of the household guards. I am also assigning him to be your sworn shield for the time being." Desmond will help you find your way around Winterfell when I am occupied with my duties. He will also stay outside your chambers during the night to protect you if I am away. Ashura nodded. That is kind of you, Ned. Not many lords will assign sworn shields to their wives. I've been thinking, she began, as they leisurely walked away, Desmond heading the other direction. Perhaps when Illyria reaches her 6th name day, I will ask for her to be sent here, as a ward. For a year or two, of course, before our brother decides to send her off to be fostered by another lord in Dorne. Please, hear me out. When we were in King's Landing, many ladies told me how fortunate I am to have wedded an honorable lord like you. Despite Illyria being a girl, I still want her to learn a thing or two from you before she is married off. I also want to spend more time with her. She waited patiently as Ned bit his lip in contemplation. Will Lord Dane agree? He said hesitantly. Of course he will not. I will convince him, said Ashura confidently. There is plenty of time to convince him. Very well. As long as your brother consents, I am more than happy to foster your sister for a year or two. Before you write to him, I need to show you something. He led her through a labyrinth of corridors before opening a door surrounded by 2 stern men bearing the direwolf sigil. More household guards of Winterfell. Ned murmured to them softly and Ashura followed him in, her eyes immediately drawn to 2 oak cradles. Is it not too early? She questioned. The babe is not due for another 6 months. She peered at the one closest to her and smiled. Baby Daenerys was sound asleep, her mouth ajar for a second. She will be beautiful when she grows up. It is a shame she will be known as a Dornish bastard rather than a Targaryen princess. When King Robert had left the fates of little Daenerys and her brother in Ned's care, it was Ashura who suggested naming the girl Daenerys, in honor of King Daeron II's sister whose marriage to the Prince of Dorne brought peace and dawn into the fold. Expecting it empty, Ashura peeped at the second, more ancient cradle, most likely the future bed for her own babe. To her utter astonishment, it was already usurped by another infant, a boy. Wisps of dark brown hair sprouted from his head and as he opened his eyes, Ashura saw they were dark grey, so dark that they already bordered upon black. There was no doubt the babe was a Stark. She turned and looked at Ned almost accusingly and fearful. Whose son is that? She said, her finger shaking violently as she pointed at the babe. Her heart throbbed as her honorable husband looked away, unable to meet her eye. Whose child is that? Ashura repeated, crossing her arms. Mine. Ned finally met her gaze, his dark grey eyes reflecting sorrow. His name is Jon. Jon Snow. He is my son. Ashura pursed her lips. Your son. She looked at the babe again. He looked almost a year old. Tell me. Ashura ordered. Who is the bastard's mother? Which fair maiden caught the eye of the Honorable Ned Stark? Is she highborn? His eyes grew hard. Never ask me about Jon, he said, cold as ice. He is my blood and that is all you need to know, my lady. He paused and said frostily, do not ever call him a bastard. A Snow he may be, he will be raised a Stark. You will treat him as you will your own son. No, said Ashura, staring back at him defiantly. He is no son of mine. Have you not caused my family suffering enough? You killed my brother, forced me to go with you to King's Landing, foisted a Targaryen as a Dane bastard and now you order me to love your bastard. She laughed hysterically. No. As long as I live, I will never accept Jon Snow in my family. She placed her hand protectively over her stomach. I'm going home to Starfall, she said steadily. I will raise our child to be an honorable man, one more honorable than his father. Even if you legitimize your bastard and make him your heir, so be it. At least my son will be happy and safe in Dorne. Safe. Our child will be safer here in Winterfell. Not with the threat of a bastard half-brother lingering around. Besides, he is your firstborn son. She pointed accusingly at the bastard babe. I heard people oft say that you will always love your firstborn the most. What will I tell our son if he asks why you always love your bastard more? Ned gave her a chilling look and turned, walking away wordlessly and leaving Ashura alone with the 2 babes. With a sigh, she smiled again at the sleeping Daenerys before frowning at Jon Snow, who stared back at her inquisitively with his wide, dark grey eyes. He will choose you, wouldn't he? Ashura said bitterly, watching Jon squirm in his blankets. No matter how many children I give him, Ned will always choose you as his favorite child. Why can you not look more like your mother? If you did, it would be easier for me to ignore you as Ned's bastard. The gods are cruel to us both, are they not? You will forever be the bane of my life even though you did nothing to hurt me but your mere existence. You could have been my son, but the gods decided to make you a bastard. Ned's bastard. Feeling more exhausted than angry.